The Marcia Weekes Show. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. Talk truth, build roots, stories unfold. Motivate change, mobilize is the mode, that's the MR code. Hey! We growing, we know it.
Hey! Hey! Give me something. I work hard every election. I go knocking from door to door. My loyalty could never be questioned. You've always enjoyed my support. 7 years of patiently waiting while others parading. Can't believe what I'm seeing. I watched them get through. It's like you're always forgetting. When I sacrificing, there got to be something that you could get me to do. Market finger in Washington, D.C. I too could practice diplomacy. I begging, please, me, I don't forget me. How Sinclair get a job overseas. He ain't even in the party. I begging, please, me, I don't forget me. You bring back Folly and you set up line. If he don't walk now, what could be mine? I begging, please, me, I don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Me, I don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Listen carefully. Me, I don't forget me. Give me something, a little something. We appreciate your representation as you fly high all over the world. From climate change to fighting for reparation. You inspire little boys and girls, but my car suspension needs fixing. The bad roads need paving. When my water is running, things are getting brown. Food prices keep rising, and my MP gone missing. I don't know where else to turn, so I'm coming to you. I don't want no coffee and biscuits. We done with that kind of politics. Listen carefully, yeah, don't forget me. Wanna promise me house and land, but 6 acres back with the Africans. Listen carefully, me, I don't forget me. A pool of construction overruns, can't get the spot up in St. John. Listen carefully, me, I don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Me, I don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Listen carefully, me, I don't forget me. Give me. Hey, give me something, a little something. Whoa. If you got the position for the Senate, I would even take a ministry. You bring the big man from Geneva. You ain't got to fly me from overseas. I don't want to be party leader. Dr. Humphrey and Santia, once is a fair criteria, let them fight for that. I don't like no confusion. I have a simple vision. 2 terms, get my pension, cock up my foot and relax. I could give you solutions for the crime. You don't have to pay gangsters a dime. I beg you, please, me, I don't forget me. Auntie, I will never bring you shame. Don't trouble a boy, I stay in my lane. I beg you, please, me, I don't forget me. In the party choir, I'll always sing. I could get on worse than Patrick King. I beg you, please, me, I don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Me, I don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Listen carefully, me, I don't forget me. Give me something. La.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. We are coming to you live from Barbados, and you just heard the national anthem of Barbados, and that was the national flag of Barbados. Anybody excited tonight? Who is excited tonight? Oh my goodness, we have an amazing show lined up for you tonight. It is a simply amazing. The title, This Is Not Normal. This is not normal. What is happening to Barbados? That is our show tonight. And you know, folks, we're going to start off the night with our children. Okay, we're going to start off with our children. We're not going to start off with policy. Tonight, you're going to hear from our children. I think it's very important, especially if we're asking what has happened to Barbados. Just for a few minutes, it wouldn't be for the whole night. You're going to hear from the children. Because just a few days ago in this country, gunmen ran through a nursery school. Let that settle for a moment. A nursery school. Children in a place that is supposed to be safe. Can you imagine if that was your child? Your child was at Eden Lodge Nursery School? Anybody out there know anybody who had a child there? Children in a place that is supposed to be safe, exposed to gunfire, fear, and trauma, even if the guns didn't go off in the school. But can you imagine the trauma, the fear? And so, Barbadians, we have to ask ourselves a very serious question tonight. What is happening to Barbados? And I'm going to respond to an article or to a post by Mr. Kirk Humphrey. Minister Kirk Humphrey said he was up late and could not sleep. We're going to hear what was on his mind, and we're going to respond to him tonight. What is happening to Barbados is what he's asking, and we want to ask him what is happening to Barbados, because this is not one incident. It's not one community. It's not one moment. We're seeing a pattern. Do you agree with me? And when we look at what is happening in our schools, the behavior, the disruption, the lack of discipline, we simply cannot ignore, viewers, Barbadians, the connection to what we're now seeing on the streets. And you're going to hear some of the children speak tonight about what happens in school settings. Because what is happening in our schools today is becoming what is happening in our communities tomorrow. And even now, because they're mimicking what they're seeing in the communities. But here's the thing. This situation is not happening in isolation. Because at the same time, children running from shots, nursery school children in Eden Lodge Nursery, people are struggling with terrible roads, destroying their vehicles. Communities are dealing with low water pressure and uncertainty. Entire areas are still in darkness at night, even in the midst of all of this crime. There were lights, street lights that were supposed to get to St. James North from the by-election, and they haven't arrived yet. But now we're discussing major projects like a data center in a country that is already under strain. So we have to ask, how are we developing? If people are struggling to live, how are we developing? And then as we step back even further, guess what? We see something else. The IMF is back in Barbados this week, talking about a new relationship. A new relationship. Who invited them here? Why would they invite them? Isn't the economy doing great? Who is shaping the direction of this country, Barbadians? Who is shaping it? And in whose interests are those decisions being made? We didn't call for the IMF. Who called for them again? And finally, tonight, we want to talk about when the nation begins to feel this kind of pressure. We are not just looking to government. We're also looking for spiritual and moral leadership. A lot of people are looking to the church. But tonight, we will have to ask some difficult questions. Is the church speaking? Look at all that is happening here. I understand the church meets and the church prays. But sometimes you have to ask why. Why isn't the church speaking into the issues I want to commend them on the prayers. They've been having prayers. It's true. Is the church silent? And why? So tonight, we don't want to cast blame tonight, because I think this is all about something deeper. I would like to take all of us to something deeper, to something called responsibility. Because as I've often said, there's nobody coming to save us. And that's why I have been really, and I've always had an interest in the youth. We've got to get our hands dirty. We've got to get our hands in there. And I thank all of you who donated to those children who are going off to secondary school. So many of you donated. I just want to say thank you. We've got to get in there. This is about responsibility. It's about direction. That's the deeper thing we want to talk about tonight. Responsibility, direction, the future of this country. The future of this country, it's really about you and I. It's really about you and I. And somebody will say, and God, but God is in us. So it's really about you and I, the God in you and I, and we connecting. Because sometimes when we say God, it means for a lot of people that's just being lazy. For some people, it means they're not going to do anything. But let's talk tonight about the future of this country. When we connect the dots from our children to the community, to the policy, to the leadership, you begin to see something clearly. There's a clear thing that it's not random. What's going on is not random. It's systemic. It is systemic. And it is affecting all of us. So tonight we want to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. But before we do that, let me just say, oh my goodness, I came on early tonight, Monica Ince, and I saw the greeting that you guys were having between yourselves. This is community. We have formed a community on here. Don't matter what they say about you. Don't matter what they say about the show. The fact is, we have formed a community. I see it, Teroni. Hey, Cedric, Andrea, Mavis, Marcia Miller, and Teroni. I know you were calling yesterday. I just was not feeling my very best yesterday. Okay. But so I will have to give you a call tomorrow. Hey, Sherry, Calendar. Oh, wow. Everybody, they're saying hi. Calendar saying hi to everybody. Hey, Bajan boy. Stevenson R. Hi, Stevenson R. Hey, Lucinda, girl. Lori Bob. Hey, Annette Brewster. Hey, Shirley. Oh, goodness. Thank you, Shirley. You know why I said that. Thank you. Joy and Faith, Beverly Perscott. I've got to do this. I can't do the show without saying hello to everybody. We do this as a community. Every single thing, the topics, you give me the topics. You help me to research it, right, Sonia? Good night, Sonia, dear. Yes. Judy Jones. Judy, how are you doing, my dearest? Judy, I hope you're coming to Farley Hill. Oh, we can get to see each other at Farley Hill. Annette Brewster. Hey, Solomon. I think, though, Teroni, I'm thinking, and I would love you as a community to let me know if you think we should do this. Do you think that we should go to St. Peter on the 23rd of May? Okay, tomorrow, Saturday, will be the 9th. So we need some time to plan it, at least 2 weeks. Do you think we need to do a protest march? One of those Love Barbados march that we did in Holtown. Should we do it in St. Peter? And this has to do with the access to the to beach, to our beach spaces, and how we're realizing that they're getting they're limiting all of the access to the beach, those access to the beach. Okay, so I want you to let me know your thoughts. Hey, Mavis. Hey, First Wizard, hi. Celia Mason, Mavis Lashley. Hey, Jacqueline. Oh, wow. Thank you, Patrick. Oh, that relative, that tell the relative to say hi. Tell the relative to say hi. Thank you all. Thank you for recommending people to watch the show. Yeah, Solomon, too much talking, too much talking, too much talking. Hey, navel string. Marcia, your burden for Barbados is felt and shouldered by many of us. I know that, and I can feel that. And that's why, I'm here. I'm on the show tonight. What you don't know, navel string, and everybody else who's joined, I like to tell the truth. I wasn't supposed to be on here tonight because Dr. Ferdinand is who is supposed to be on tonight, and he called me 20 minutes or so before the show started. He said, Marcia, my computer will not start. He said I sent him a video from the government, from their website, and I sent it to him. And he said, Marcia, from the time I opened that video, my computer has shut down and it will not start. And so in 20 minutes, F. Gardner, believe me, I was in the garden dealing with my banana plants, because I have some weevils. Anybody out there know how to get rid of weevils? My banana tree, they are growing and then they just break from the root or in the middle. Okay, so I'm trying to find the problem. So I was out there. I only came in from my garden after 6, thinking that I'm going to relax tonight, but no, absolutely not. It wasn't so. I was going to be with you all tonight again. And that's really no problem because of the commitment that we have, right, Solomon? And that's why we're here tonight. So I'm here, you're here. But the big question is, did you like yet? And did you share? Did you like as yet? Did you share? Because when you do that, what's going to happen is that it's going to just trigger the algorithm, and it's going to come up in people's feed, etc. So we need you, everybody who's on. Hey, Hogan. Hey, yes, we do. Yes, we do. I need everybody to just pause right now and to like the show. It's okay to like the show. They can't do you anything. Some of you are scared to like the show because you worry if you like the show, then they might hurt you. No, they can't do you anything. Greater is he that is in you. Go ahead and like the show. You will see the little button there. Click it. Okay, subscribe. You will see subscribe. Like, subscribe, and you go and share. They can't do you anything. It's time. Listen, it's time we just stand up and be bold, man. Can't touch you. Yeah, too much fear. We're tired of that. You know how long we're doing the show? Oh, please. Oh, please. They're not strong enough. They're not large enough. They're not powerful enough. They're not powerful enough. Do you understand that there is an army around us? You're part of that army. They're just not strong enough. They're not powerful enough. They can't stop this. Because if they even stop this, something else is going to open up. Because guess what? Once there's life in our bodies, there's something in us, Solomon and everybody else, Patrick. There's something inside of Rustaroni and Margaret Pollard. There's something that is driving us. And I often say, we will go and we will sit underneath a tree. We will go under a mango tree and gather there and do the show. The best thing for them is not to touch the show because it will just get bigger. Yeah, because of what is driving us. It will definitely get bigger. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Yeah, comment, write in and comment. And tonight, folks, tonight we did not get to do our calling segment on Wednesday. But tonight, I tell you, I want tonight to really be as soon about you guys. So, you can call in. We're going to make sure that at 9 o'clock, you're able to call in on the show. Or might be even a little earlier. All right. But before we move on, I'm going to, Dave, I know you had the Gospel Fest bus ride. I want to remind people about that. If you're interested in the bus ride, it's very important that you RSVP by May the 26th. Give me a call. Marcia, save a seat for me on the bus. Marcia said you don't have to pay to be on the bus. There's no fee. Okay? All you've got to do is to bring some food to share with others, or if you just have a few ripe bananas, come, and a bottle of water, somebody will have some food for you, right? But bring what you have, and let's build out our community, all right, at Farley Hill. And that's going to be on the 31st at Gospel Fest. Solomon say he'll be there with his porridge. That's okay. What kind of porridge, Solomon? Banana porridge? Teroni's gonna be there, so that's for sure. And Teroni, I'm gonna do my best to bring you your festivals, okay, sir? Oh, cornmeal, nice, Solomon, nice, 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 very nice. Okay, all right. Anybody else, folks? Anybody else? Folks, remember, you've got to call me. Oh, you put raisins in there? Raisins in oh wow, I've done that sometimes. I'm pretty creative, but when I come on here with all these creative ideas, they tell me that I can't cook because I put the mixer in the cuckoo and blend it up. Yeah. So folks, please. Oh, you put coconut too? Well, oh my Lord, I tell you, well, you know what? When we were in Kenya, we had a particular kind of porridge there, and that's the porridge there. And actually, do you guys remember? Some of you are donating, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've been donating to the porridge program in Kenya, where they use maize or they use sorghum or what we call guinea corn porridge. And they put all kinds of things in that porridge, and they sell it on the street, Solomon, as food after work. Street food. It's a bowl of porridge, and it has all kinds of things inside. Or you can get your toppings. I think it might be coconut too. They have guinea hen weed. It's very healthy. Different things you can put in to the porridge, and they sell it on the streets in Kenya after work. And so many people sit down, and while they're waiting on their bus, they get a bowl of porridge. And we were sitting among them with this bowl of porridge. The lines are long. I guess it's like in Jamaica, we do soup on the street. Yeah. So Solomon is doing porridge. This is a good time to remind people. Dave, you have a video there? No, it's a remind people that we have the Kenya Matura project, where we're helping to we're joining with the Kenyans, really, and we've started a food a breakfast program right here on the show, and many of you donate to it. There's so much that we do. So when you hear them say, we come and we complain and we no. There is so much that is done. There are children right now, their parents don't have to worry about all of those supplies, because for secondary school, they did the exam Tuesday, and there were children you helped to sponsor by Wednesday. So don't you ever let anybody tell you that you come on this show, sit down with Marcia Weekes, and only criticize the government. You know that's not true. Yeah, you know that's not true. And so I want to thank you. And some of you tell me month end, you're going to help. You have donations for us to send to Kenya. Dave and I went to this, visited the school, and saw the children, and felt, you know what, this would be a great way to connect. And, we're even thinking of going to Kenya with the group. All right. So listen out very soon. I think we're going to end up in Kenya. Right. This is a feeding program, the Matura feeding program. Yeah, the porridge is healthier than Chefette, I'm telling you. And there's a long line, Jacqueline. I am serious. One of these days, we need to show you. We had shown you all before. Yeah. And these are some, Dr. Ferdinand was actually interviewing the principal and the head of the chairman of the school board was on the show with Dr. Ferdinand. And it is, we are working also with PLO Lumumba. He allows us to be able to send wire the funds to him, and then it's distributed to the school. So we are protected. Okay. Teroni, you would like to go? Yeah. So we will tell you all about that. We're working on that, and we'll tell you. We want to go as a group. How many of you would be interested in going to Africa as a group? Oh man, I'm 3 minutes over the time. Dave, get the mic on the move ready. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you. Oh, I tell you, he is on the ball. Thanks so much, Dave. You're doing a great job. Well, folks, as you think about Africa, Jackie said, me. I knew you would be ready. Well, folks, we're starting off with the youth, and it's 7:33. We're going to take a little time, and we're going to watch these young people, listen to what they're saying. This is not the time for you to get up and go and do other things. I want you to listen, because when we don't listen, okay, we don't know how to react. We don't know what to do. Remember, we are the answer. We are the answer to what Barbados needs. And we must listen in order to be able to find that solution and to work with the young people in getting it done. So let's listen to them. Go right ahead, Dave. How about you? Who were your best friends at school in Jamaica?
Her name is...
Speak up a little louder, man.
Her name is Samoya.
Samoya?
Kajwane.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, like you have to think about them best friends. But, best friends are good. It's good to develop good relationships, because those people help you through school life, right? Now, when you got to St. Thomas Technical High, it seemed like it was a peaceful place. Everything seemed like it was going to be, just nice and placid? Everybody seemed peaceful and loving?
Yes, they did.
And did it stay that way?
No, they did. They
Oh,
didn't.
wow, it didn't stay that way. So we're talking, we want parents to listen and let the little ones listen to this. Those who are taking common entrance and, they're going into secondary school for September. So my friend here is saying that when she got to school, everything seemed beautiful. Everybody was just loving, sharing their snacks and so on. And everybody was just really lovely. And then, ta-da, what changed?
Everything changed. Their attitude, things that they do.
What kind
The
of
entire
attitude?
school changed. Like everyone is rude now.
Rude.
Very.
Wow. What do you consider rude behavior?
Like being rude, cursing bad words,
Cursing. So
To
that
each
you're
other.
hearing the cursing, right?
fighting each other often.
Fighting. There's a lot of fighting.
Yes.
Wow. And what else? What else do you call rude behavior? That your parents would say, you can't do that. You don't want to say. You don't want to say. All right. You don't want to say.
They are bullying people.
And bullying people as well, taking their people's lunch and their money and those kind of things.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So all of that. So what about Zaida? When you, after, the honeymoon phase, they say the honeymoon phase was gone, right? And, tell us about your school. What did you see any change? Or up to today, everybody just one big family, loving and caring for each other and so on. Tell us.
No.
No?
Like, similar to what Kamaya said, everything changed.
Tell me.
There's some people, like some very few people that used to keep to themselves. Well, they would still be, some of them are kind to others, some of them just don't interact with the school world. But when I got to St. Michael's School, it wasn't what it was said to be. It wasn't as I expected it to be.
What was it said to be?
Because St. Michael's is said to be one of the top schools because of the grades and stuff like that. But the behaviors of the students that are in the school is something completely different. Once you get inside the school, what you're told outside is completely different.
Really? And tell me about the behavior. What do you see?
Well, there's always one group of students that always get in trouble. So there's a group of boys in my year that they're at the year head's office every 2 days.
Why? Why are they there?
For multiple reasons, being rude to teachers, constantly.
Rude to teachers?
Yeah, constantly talking about somebody else, family members, just to insult them or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're fighting, they're skipping class, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't find school important.
Mm-hmm.
So they find everything else to do.
Everything is. So they're at school, but they're not really at school. And so they're causing a lot of disruption in the school. And you were shocked about that.
Not really, because you could see these small, slight changes.
It didn't happen gradual. It didn't happen instantly.
Yeah.
It was a gradual thing, and you start to really see what they were really all about.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How about Jalea? Jalea, you got to grade in Sealy and you said, man, I didn't know I would pass to this good school. And your school is like the best behaved school in the entire Barbados. Isn't that wonderful? And tell me all about it.
So when I got to the school, I thought it would be peaceful and quiet. But then after that, it wasn't. Like everybody started to change. The people that was keeping distance to the south started talking to bad company. And like it was all fighting, people cursing teachers, skipping classes. And like I didn't know what to do, so I just keep to myself. And like when like it was the third term, I was talking to people more, but like usually keeping to myself because like some of my students in the class, they're bad company.
They're bad company, even at school. Some of the children, you recognize them as bad company.
As fees and like
why is it bad company for Jalea?
because there was skipping classes,
Skipping classes.
cursing each other, fighting, and like that was too much for me. So it was mostly keeping to myself.
Keeping to yourself. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Wow.
And like the compliments I was given to the school, I thought it would be nice, but as I got to the school, it wasn't nice. Everybody was fighting almost every single week over like stupidness, over a man, a pencil.
A man? What you mean? But men don't go to the school?
A boy, a boy.
What were you laughing for, Jalea? But people fighting at the school over man?
Yeah, a boy.
But man don't go to the school. Only little boys are at that school. So which man they're fighting over?
I don't know. Like it was a fight in first round, but in my classroom were two turf farmers fighting over a boy.
They're fighting over a boy.
Yes, please. And like it was just crazy. So like,
wow.
I went my own way.
And you went your own way. I remember you used to tell me that you tried to stay by yourself at lunchtime because it just felt so weird. Yes, with everybody, all the fighting and the quarreling and the cursing and all of that is happening in school. So people were skipping school, Jalea, skipping class. Really? They were skipping class?
Yeah.
Like
sometimes regularly.
Class is going on and they're not in class.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
School. Well, because we have the tennis court and what the students call a patch of grass at the back of the school.
Mm-hmm.
The boys used to be walking around. They have some people that have PE during our classes. So they will be playing with them and just having a good time.
So they just came to have a good time. They're just not going to class.
No.
Wow.
The classes that they do go to is classes that we don't have work to do in.
Okay. Wow. But how, with all of that bad behavior and all that you saw happening, at any point did you partake in it? Be honest. Sometimes.
I was getting really caught up in some of it.
Okay, be honest. Thanks for your honesty. So you got a little caught up in some of it. Yes. Tell me, like what?
I was being rude to people.
You started to be rude to people. Yeah. Yes. Insulting them and so on.
Bullying them.
And bullying them? You can bully people? You bully people?
Unfortunately.
Why were you bullying people? Tell me about that experience. Because she's no longer a bully, okay? She's saying that she used to bully people because you can't come to prison, can't be and bully nobody. But anyway, so tell me, what do you mean when you say bully? Explain to me, what were you doing?
I was like walking around and picking fights with anyone.
You're walking and picking fights?
Yes.
And anything about them, like particular things that you saw, or you just...
I would tell them that they are ugly or something.
Oh, you insult them and then in Jamaica, you insult them, tell them that they're ugly or tell them about their mother. If you tell anybody about their mother, you know, right? So, and you, but wait, that means you can fight. So you were picking fight and then trying to fight. Did they beat you up anytime?
No, unfortunately, I did not fight anyone because I did not want to get a suspension for fighting.
You didn't want to get a suspension, but you just went around insulting people. Yes, and you regret that.
Yes.
What else did you think you joined in? Anything else you felt like, you know what, I joined in this behavior at school and it wasn't good?
No,
just mainly that was it. How about Zaida? Zaida, did you, so all of this, you were excited, you went to school and then you start to see the bad behavior. Did you join in at any time?
Yes, I did. But I wouldn't say it's as bad as they do it.
Like when you join in, what you do? That mommy and daddy won't kill you. Don't kill her, please.
Similar to what Kamoya did, but I didn't used to pick fights. When I made friends and I made sure that I was comfortable around them, we used to send friendly insults and stuff like that. Like when they do something that's terribly stupid, we would call them out on it and tell them, like in a good way, but it wasn't bad. Yeah, in a good way, we used to insult them.
In a good way?
Makes sense, yeah.
In a good way. And did you join in sometimes, Jalea? You're only there 2 years. Tell us what happened, Jalea.
Oh yes, like when I was in first, when I was in second term, I used to follow bad company. I got together with group of girls. I insult people.
Okay.
I pick on people, and like yeah, the people that I used to pick on, I didn't really know them. So like there was like the one fight me. So like one of the days that I went and insult somebody that was trying to pick a fight. So like that hit me, so I hit them back. So we started fighting, and then one of the girls jumped in for me. So then after that day, we went to the principal office, and then we got suspension.
You got a suspension?
Yes,
I think I remember that. Your mommy called me. I think I remember that you got a suspension, and what did that do anything for you when you were home? So as a suspension, you were home for how long?
I was home for 5 days.
For 5 days, and in those 5 days, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, when I got the suspension, I was thinking, oh shoot, my mommy gonna beat me and all sorts of things. But when I got home, my mommy said, like, it's my first time, so don't do it again. But she was mad at me and she was crying with me.
Yes, and you, since then, have you decided that you're not going to join in with that kind of behavior?
So like when I went back to school, we was in music, and then after that day, we was playing music in the class. So the teacher went and complained to the year, hey, and then all of we got suspended.
So
again.
what did you get for playing music?
Yes, please.
Oh, in class?
Well, I wasn't the one that was playing music.
But everybody
but
in the class. So you had a second suspension?
Yes, please.
Oh my goodness,
But
girl.
then after that, I learned from it.
You learned from it.
Yes,
What did you
please.
learn from all those two suspensions?
To keep away from bad company. I'm gonna go to school. Don't really talk to people like that. I keep my distance from people.
And keep your distance from people. We're going to come back to that, because each of you are going to have to come up with some advice that you want to give to the children who are going into school for the secondary school or high school for the first time in September. Now, I want to, you are students in the school. Have you ever thought about, what if I was the principal of this school? What would I do? This school is, all the kids are there, the children are there, but there's a lot of bad behavior. They're not listening to the teachers. They're talking back to the teachers. And so the big question is, what would you do? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So like, I was the principal, in my opinion, everybody that was skipping and being rude to teachers and coming to my office, I would give them community service and like let them stay with me for like 2 days or a week and like learn from it. But like some part in the week, I would beat them for it or score them for it.
So you are a principal, believe that you need to beat those children sometimes.
Yes,
so
please.
Community service, and then you're going to give lashes if they keep doing it.
Yes,
right.
please.
So you'll be a strict principal. So there'll be order in your school. That means if you were the principal, a child like you would get lashes. You ready for that? Huh? Look at her face. You ready for that? You don't want the lashes, but you said if you were the principal, you would have give yourself lashes. All right. How about you? If you were the principal of your school, right? What would you do to bring order in your school and discipline?
That's a lot to think. That's some serious thinking.
Yes.
But at my school, we already get community service suspensions, in-house suspensions, detention, stuff like that. But it doesn't work because the children don't care. Generally, I don't think punishments that we have now are going to affect the students. At least not all of them.
So if you were the principal, what would you do?
To deal with bad behaved children, I don't know. I have a special classroom for them.
You put them in a special class?
Yeah. I mean, that would probably cause a lot more issues because they would be probably fighting and arguing and stuff like that. I would feel bad for teachers like put in our classroom.
Not those poor teachers.
I would feel bad for those teachers.
All the bad behaved children.
Yes.
But so your solution is, you're saying that all the
all what they do at school right now, it's not working. And so you would add, what you would add to all of that is you would put them all in one classroom. So you call it community what?
Service.
Community service. So what is that?
You clean up the school. So
So
you
you-
go around collecting garbage, you pick up any tissues or leaves and stuff like that around the school. They give you gloves and a trash bag.
And
you
the
walk
trash
around
bag,
the
and
school.
so that's part of the discipline and the punishment if you behave badly. But it's not. It doesn't work.
I don't think it does. The children feel the humiliation at the time, but I feel like at one point in time they forget all about it and then they go back to do the same thing.
To do the same thing, and you don't think that is going to work. You don't think that the suspension is going to work either.
I don't think completely, no.
You don't think that works. So your thing is to put them in a class by themselves. What about lashes?
I don't know. I don't like lashes.
You don't like lashes,
I don't
but
like
as
lashes.
a principal,
I
would
wouldn't
you
give
lash?
it to. I wouldn't give it to students if I don't like it.
When
When I was
but
in
what if
primary,
it would save the school?
that would be a last resort. That would genuinely be a last resort. I'm not going to give lashes
Do
to
you hear
children.
that? You hear these here? Give trouble, but they don't want the lashes.
I
They
don't want to give children
They
lashes.
don't want to give the children lashes.
No. I was in primary school and our vice principal used to be walking around with a bamboo panel. So anybody that used to be giving trouble would get lashes on the spot. I did not like
But
that.
did that help? That's the question right there. When that bamboo, when she raised that bamboo, did it bring quiet?
I think children were more so running from it.
They're running from it.
They're more running
But would
from
they be
it.
prone to give trouble with that bamboo being raised?
Well, I think at the time it did help.
It did
But
help. It
they
helped a
stopped.
little bit
It helped a
to
little.
fear. It helped a little bit. So principals, you hear that? It helped a little bit through fear.
Yeah, but I think eventually when I got into the upper school, in primary school, I think they stopped it because there were a lot of incidents that happened in my class and we didn't get suspension or detention or anything like that. So
there was not much discipline happening. So you're not
the
sure.
parents were called.
Parents were called
Parents
as
were
well.
called.
So the only thing you believe that no lashes for you, you will give lashes, but won't lash yourself. And for you, you are saying you put them all in a classroom. How about you, madam? You are the principal of St. Thomas Technical High School. What's the first thing you're going to do to bring order to that school?
To the boys who are constantly giving trouble, fighting, skipping class.
Speak up a little for me.
I would let them spend like 2 nights in a jail cell.
My mother! 2 nights in a jail cell, she said. 2 nights in a jail cell. This is a serious principle. Oh my goodness. What, tell me your last name again? Kimora what again?
Huh?
Kimora what? Give me your last name.
Kamaya Grasset.
So this is Principal Grasset, right? And Principal Grasset said, you don't want to behave at school? I'm giving you 2 nights in a jail cell.
Depends on what you do.
Yes, so tell me, talk us through this now.
If you do something like skip school, then you get 2 nights. If you cause a major fight, it's probably like 5 or 6.
So you're sending them straight to jail?
Yes.
Straight to jail you're sending them?
No.
So let me ask.
They're doing the extreme. When they're fighting each other, they're stabbing using the chairs, the iron chairs. They take the iron off the chair.
Metal chairs, yeah.
Yes, and use it and beat each
And
other.
they use it and beat each other.
Yes, so they come arms to each other. So maybe they'll learn when they go into jail.
Maybe they learn. So you want them to learn the hard way. So this is a tough principle. This school is a very, very serious school. I am telling you. Oh my Lord.
Suspension, when you get suspension, detention, or anything, it doesn't work because the students are saying they get more time at home. So if, as she said, if you get to clean up the school or something, they aren't going to do it. They're going to tell the principal that they want a suspension instead. So they can go home.
They don't want to clean the school. They prefer the suspension so they could just be home chilling.
Yes.
And
so
that's,
it doesn't really make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. So will you lash as well? Will you beat children with a belt or a stick or a bamboo?
No.
No, you just send them straight to jail.
Yes.
So no,
Maybe for the girls.
the girls, you might lash the girls, but the
Yes.
boys are to go to jail.
Yes,
Oh
definitely.
boy, the poor boys. But let's get to what the meat of the matter here. I want to ask each of you, Jalea, starting with you, Jalea. In light of all that we discussed, what about those unsuspecting children who are so happy they go to common entrance and they want to pass to their favorite school, right? What do you say to them? What would you tell them to prepare them? If they were standing right in front of you right now, what would you say to those little 10 and a half, 11-year-old children right now, Jalea?
I will say try your
Look
best.
in the camera.
I will say try your best. Do not get into any trouble. Don't get into any fighting. Don't skip classes. Don't curse the teachers, because at the end of the day, you will get suspended or expelled, and I'm sure you don't want that, neither your parents. So I would just say going to secondary school, keep to yourself. If like one of your friends comes to secondary school with you that was in primary school, probably keep to them. And if they're distancing a little bit from you, like probably find a little one or two friends to keep with, or even join cadets, because cadets is real fun. And like just keep to yourself a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah. Wow, great advice. Great advice. And yes, what are you gonna say to I want you to look in the camera, look straight in the camera and talk to those children at home watching you right now. What would you say to them?
You need to be careful.
Mhm.
When it is you're entering secondary school, you need to make sure that you're focusing on your schoolwork, you're looking for the right set of company. Like Julia said, if it is that you have friends from primary school that are good influences, you should probably stick to them. You will eventually make new friends. Just, as people say, be yourself. You will get through it. Focus on your schoolwork. Don't let anybody, um, what's the word? Interrupt you,
Or influence you?
influence you in a bad way or anything like that. You'll get through it. You'll be
Mhm.
fine.
They'll get through it. How about you, madam? This is serious principal here. Look in the camera and talk to those children and tell them what you want to tell them today.
When you're starting secondary school, it's best for you to stay by yourself.
Mhm.
And if it's that you do want friends, keep one friend only, because that's the best option for you to stay out of trouble. And don't let peer pressure get to you.
Mm.
And don't let anyone bully you. Don't be rude to the teachers. Don't do anything bad, because at the end of the day, the teachers have what they have in their head already and you don't. So you need them to teach you.
Wow, that's deep. Do you need them to teach you? So the teachers have arrived. They have their education already.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a mortician
A what?
or a flight attendant.
A mortician. Lord Jesus. This principal said she's sending the people to jail, the little children to jail, and now she wants to be a mortician. Oh Lord, help us, oh Father Jesus. But anyway, mortician is good because you know what? You will make a lot of money because people are always dying. You ever thought about that? You ever thought about that?
That's
That's
true.
one profession. If you're in, you will never be out of a job.
That's true.
Isn't that true? People are always
My
dying.
last few months in Jamaica, like the last 2 months, there was a lot of people dying. So like there was one specific funeral home that everybody chooses. They were getting a lot of business. So they were like funeral every day. So
So you would be a
everyone
mortician. And why a mortician?
because I like to see people die.
You like to see the dead people? You like to look at the dead people?
Unfortunately,
You like to look at dead people? I am so scared. And she said she likes. It's not that she likes to see people die. You like to look at dead people. So when you go to the funeral, you'll actually examine them in the coffin. And what are you looking for?
nothing.
You just like to look at them?
They're sleeping peacefully.
They're sleeping peacefully
Yeah, in a nice cozy box.
in a nice cozy box. And have you ever like, you know, ask anybody what a mortician does? You know what they do?
From my eyes, I have a friend that is a mortician.
You have a friend that's a mortician. Speak up a little bit.
Yes, I have a friend that is a mortician.
And what did they tell you that they do?
Basically, sometimes they will dress the dead
Mm-hmm.
and prepare everything that's needed for the funeral, the hearses, and all of those stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you don't mind dressing the dead?
Maybe.
Wow. So you got to think, but you also like to be a travel agent, right? Right. But if you want to be a mortician, go for it, because there's a lot of money to be made there, you know. And if you like it, you know, it's giving a service to families, because then they're able to see their loved one looking nice, you know, with the nice hat on their head, the makeup, and they, you know, they do. You should study it online and see what they do to make the person look pretty, right, for their family. So it is a service. It's a wonderful job to have, really, to be a mortician. And you said also a flight attendant. Which one which one is first? If you were to rate them, which one? Mortician and flight attendant, or flight attendant and then mortician?
Flight attendant first.
Flight attendant first.
Yes.
Okay, all right. How about Zania? Zaida. Zaida. What do you want to be?
Right now, it seems like I'm leaning more toward interior designing.
Interior designing.
Yeah, because I love to decorate in like inside spaces and match colors and color palettes and stuff like that. I have a lot of games like that. A lot.
Oh wow! You play them on the.
Yeah.
Oh, you play it on your device, and you're able to like take a room and then you change it up.
Change it up and
Wow!
different
You see,
colors.
sometimes they're on their devices, and you're saying, "Get off that device!" But you see, they're planning for their career. When I was coming up, when you want to be an interior decorator, you had nothing like that. But now you have that, and you spend hours doing that.
Yes, actually, I spent a good amount of time. I look at, because when my parents are looking at like colors for the walls and stuff like that, there are sheets that are from the hardware that have different colors in the orders of the shades. So I like to look at them and match them together and stuff like that.
And you match the colors. Wow. When I'm ready to paint Praise Academy again, I'm going to call on you.
Yes.
That's lovely. Have you checked to see how much interior decorators are paid?
I actually haven't checked the income as yet, but right now I'm studying all the subjects for it and architecture.
And architecture. Okay. Right. And how about you? What you want to be?
I want to be a nurse.
A nurse?
Yes, please.
Tell me why.
Because I see my family growing up hard, and like in the future, I just want to match something on my life, and like even God forbid, even after my mommy died, I want to see her looking proud at her little daughter making something of her life.
When you say your family growing up hard, what do you mean?
Like sometimes we will have hard days, nothing to eat. My mommy have to go and ask like family members and close friends, and like I don't like to see her do that. So like I be studying and getting in my butt, so getting first farm and like past secondary school, so I can make something better of my life.
Wow, and for your mommy to be proud of you and that you can make some money and help your family.
Yes, please.
That is wonderful. If you don't become a nurse, is there a second thing that you might want to do?
Cosmetology.
Cosmetology.
Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful. And you think there is enough money in that to help your family?
I think so.
But you should research it. Okay?
Yes,
but you know, you can do nurse and cosmetology. You know, you can be a nurse and a cosmetologist. These days you can do both.
My mother say that.
Yeah.
I did that for my vocation.
Repeat?
I did that for my vocation.
You did that for your vocation, cosmetology?
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you can actually do, in this day and age, you can do both, all right? Because you can have one as your business, the cosmetology, and then the nursing is your profession. you know, and so on. So you can do that.
My
And-
mommy said that. My mommy said I forgot to with my nursing career, I could also build a little shed at the side of the house and do my own hair business and nails.
Oh wow, that is
Same
not.
option.
You were given the same option by your parents as well because you have
When
to.
it is like when I get better at it, because I could do it now, but I don't think I'm doing it properly.
Mhm.
But when it is I get better at it, like I would call my friends so that they don't have to spend money,
Uh-huh.
but they have to spend a little bit, just a
So
little
you
bit.
can do it. You can do
Just a
makeup
little
right
bit.
now.
Not extravagantly, but yes, I could do something.
You could do it a little
Could
bit.
do something, yeah.
Yeah, you can do it
A little bit.
a little bit. So you
Yes,
all want. Okay. So what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a session. All right, in one of these shows, and where they're teaching you how to do the makeup. You into that? Not really. You want a dead person to work on. That is your problem. You want to work on a dead person, huh? But you have to put on makeup on the dead person, you know.
And sometimes it's fill up your face.
Yeah, you know that you have to put on makeup on the dead person. So you might consider it then. Oh wow, guys, this has been so wonderful, and it's going to be the first of many where we link up with our young people to hear what they're thinking without any judgments. Just let them speak. I believe that it is so important that, you know, we as adults, that we spend time talking to our young people, hearing what is that they have to say. And you know, I told them it was ended, and I still just want them to tell me one last thing that I should have asked them. What do you think of Speed? I Show Speed. What do you think of I Show Speed? You like him?
Not really.
Yeah, you like I Show Speed. Tell me.
Not really.
Tell me.
But the excitement that he brings behind him is not for me.
It's not for you.
Yes, because everyone was asking, like, oh, I'm in Barbados and he was so close, if I had went where he was to see him, and I was saying no, because that is just not, to me, it's just too,
It's not your kind of thing.
yeah.
Not your. You would not be running after him.
Exactly, that's just so stupid.
Okay. We should be asking boys. But okay, apart from the running after him, Zaida, do you watch him online? Did you know of him before he came to Barbados?
I've heard about him before he came to Barbados. I don't necessarily look for him,
Mm-hmm.
but if he happens to come up, I would look at part of it. Like there's some funny memes of him going around the place, so I look at
Yeah,
that
and
stuff
then
like
make you
that.
laugh a little bit.
Yeah, just a
How
little
about were you at school?
I was at school, but like he was supposed to come to grade and see.
He was supposed to come to Great and Sealy.
Yes, please.
So what happened?
He went to
He went to
foundation.
foundation.
Yeah, but like in the evening, he went on the Garrison Savannah.
And that's close to your school.
Yes, please. And he was running after a horse, and like the way how the Greater City children was running down his van, I was saying to myself, how them can run down the van. But when it comes to sports, beside cross country, anything like so, why they cannot run or participate for our school? Like it just don't make no sense.
So you're saying you didn't mind him, but you're thinking, why are they running behind I Show Speed and they won't take part in sports? Cross country, they won't do cross country, they won't do the sprints, they don't do BSAC, nothing for Great and Sealy. Oh my Lord, you guys are so much fun. Guys, let me just say thank you so much for joining me today. And to the viewers, I really do hope that this is something that you will allow your children to watch. Let them sit down and watch it and have a discussion with them about what is happening in the schools in Barbados and how they are managing. How are they, try to manage with what they're told at home, told at church, or through the community versus what they're seeing at school. And this is what we're trying to do with these series. And so once again, please like and share and send this to as many families as possible, and sit down and have conversations with your children. Until next time, God bless.
Oh my goodness, you can still see the smile on my face, right? Yes, Solomon, you got it, Solomon. Solomon, you got it. You got it. All isn't lost, you know. Solomon, you could Solomon come to the front of the class. Solomon, you got it. All isn't lost. And you know, I am so thrilled about this interview that I was able to do. And you know, what's going to happen, Solomon, is that I'm actually meeting them tomorrow at 8 a.m. Those three girls, Zaida, Jalea, and Kimoya. And we are going to do another segment at 8 o'clock at the school. Before all the dancing and the noise starts, they're going to come and we're going to do another segment. We're not sure where it's going to go as yet. We're working on that. But, you know, folks, I want us to, and this is what I want to do, especially on Wednesdays, because it's not just about the, you know, what we're reading in the newspaper is what I'm trying to say. This is media too, you know. You have the newspaper, you have radio, you have television, you have social media. And what we're doing is on social media. It's YouTube, it's Facebook. And I believe I have a responsibility to show another side. I wanted to show you these young people. I really wanted to get some boys, but the boys didn't want to do it. I'm still going to work on it. I think somebody told me there's a way to get those boys out, so I'm going to try my best to do it. But I would love for you guys, if anybody can, I will take. I see Dr. Ferdinand is there, getting ready, and I'm gonna. He's gonna come in a minute. But any comments from Beverly said they're so amazing. Their heads are on, and all the best to them. Yes. Anybody else? Any comments? Any comments? Yes. So you do have, you heard a little girl who said, listen, and she's like me. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's why I let her tell, because she said it's hard. I wanted to understand, what does she mean by hard? Because a lot of times our children are suffering in silence. And we're in a kind of a society where we want to hide everything. It's good for her to say, listen, it's not easy for me at home. Sometimes I don't have everything I need to eat, but I've made up my mind that I'm going to make my mommy proud, and I'm going to be the one to take my family out of poverty. Isn't that something? And though she got suspended in her first term at school, first or second term, I can't remember, she has decided to settle down. She's decided she want to make it to third form. You hear that? She want to make it to third form, because if she makes it to third form, she can then get a chance to take her CXCs. All right. And I tell you, that is one of the children that we're going to be having a special program for her on Saturdays at 9. All right. So she can brush up on her English, etc., writing and reading. So she's one of those that we've earmarked to be at Praise Academy at 9 o'clock. And because we're doing the Elevate at Praise Academy, the one in the city is at Praise Academy, and we're going to need people to help these kids. All right. But let me hear. Solomon says we need to invest in those sort of children to secure their future. Correct. And we talked the other day about grooming. Can you imagine, God forbid, that somebody catches somebody like that, a little child like that wants to make it out of our situation, like me when I was a child. And all they have to do is to say certain things, and if her head is not on it, but thank God she's smarter than that. But then somebody in the community begin to wave a fish or a carrot. Huh? Yes, Lori, we've got to help children like them. So those of you, if you can help with any kind of academics. They're going to come at 8 and they're going to film with me. Some of them are going to be behind the camera. We have a little one from she's from what's the school here in St. Philip Dave, not Princess Margaret, in St. John Lodge School. And so she told me, Auntie, I'm going to come and I'm going to handle the camera for you. And that's a little one that Michelle, if you're listening, that's one of those that you gave the camera to. And so now she's going to come and be my camera for my youth, for the youth discussion. And yes, so please pray for them. And what did you think about what they said about the boys? That at school, the boys, they don't, they're getting a lot of trouble. In fact, they're saying that the boys, they skip classes a lot, etc. Even at St. Michael's School. Did you hear that part? Yeah? No, didn't hear it? Well, it's 8:16, and I tell you, we are troopers on the show. Dr. Ferdinand has been working overtime to get on here tonight, and he's here. And I'm going to move out the way. Good night, Dr. Ferdinand.
Well, good night, Marcia. I trust you're hearing me okay.
Yes,
I'm hearing you well.
And you look wonderful. We almost dress alike tonight.
Thank you so very much. And good night to the loyal opposition. A real joy to be with you. I did have some really major technical problems. My computer crashed about 5 or 6 times. Yes. Yeah. So I've just worked. I still have to go through some of the what they call it, virus cleaning and all of that. I spoke with my son about it, and he said, I'll talk with you and Marcia. So I think we're both going to get a bit of a whopping.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. But it's a joy to be able to come in. I was glad I was able to work through the challenges and get something going. I hope it will stay with me for most of the show and wouldn't give up on me. But so far, it's been a joy just listening to those wonderful young people. And, Marcia, as I listened, I was moving around, obviously, because I was trying to resolve things. But as I was listening, I was so thankful to hear how many of them are so positive about the future of their lives. I listened to the one who wanted to be a nurse, and she has the backup, so to speak, of cosmetology. And I listened to her concern for her family. And, in the midst of all of the engagements with the IMF and all the big talk and massive loans, it appears that the government is oblivious of what is happening on the ground among the people of our country. And, we don't want to hear all the fancy talk. We don't even want to see the fancy visits and all the paraphernalia and all of that. We simply want solutions for the problems of our people. And, obviously, as I'm speaking about our people, Marcia, we are talking about the majority. I don't pay attention to the 1 or 2% of the very wealthy people in the country. No matter what happens, they're going to make it. But when we have people who have to make a decision as to which child is going to school, or, if a child is going to go to school or get something to eat, or if they can pay the electric bill this month or the water bill or the phone bill, those are the people that need help. And I'm sorry to say, I really have not heard anything from this government, this administration, to address the needs of those people. And I'm not, I don't want to be disparaging or disrespectful, but we do have an income differentiation. I don't want to say class, because I really have a challenge with that. But we do have people on the lower income bracket who are struggling to make it. And I think the government needs to do a lot more to help those types of people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know we're moving into segment 2 of the show tonight. And, I think about here you are, here we have these young people in school, and we want them to perform, we want them to do their best, and must have their best behavior, but they're part of a society, and they're coming from a home, and they have a
Yes.
mom and dad, and who, and they're going through a hard time. I mean, you look at just the impact on everybody. That's how everybody in this economy. Dr. Ferdinand, we were talking today, and you were talking about some of the road issues, the impact on the road. Then we're talking about water. Some people with very low water flow, and at the same time we're talking about a data center. It's just so many things, that's coming at us. And so I'll just just turn over to you to take it away, because I know that's really on your heart.
Well, Marcia, let me begin with the matter of the roads. Um, Roads have been an ongoing problem in Barbados for years. It's not now started, and every administration has dropped the ball on rehabilitating our road systems. I am not sure in terms of the technicality of using tar as opposed to cement. I do know that there are places like Grand Cayman and other countries, St. Lucia, that do use cement for patching of some of the holes. I don't know the technical differences in terms of material and that type of thing. But the reality is that when this current administration took office, if my mind serves me correctly, I believe they obtained a $200 plus million loan for infrastructural development. I take infrastructure to be everything to do with the development of people and areas in the country, electricity, water. I'm hearing people talk about this is 2026, people talking about pit toilets. I can't believe at my age that we are even having a mention in Barbados of pit toilets. And that's the honest truth. I was stunned to even hear people, in terms of what they're expressing, talking about pit toilets in 2026. And then when I look at the roads, I have hit some potholes in this country that almost cost my daughter's vehicle a rim, suspension, and tires. I have spoken with people who have had, and I don't mean one or two. When I visit Automotive Art, when I visit Quality Tire, where I know several people very well because I was in the industry, when I visit those facilities, in terms of the costs and so on, they're telling me on a daily basis 10, 15 vehicles turning up with damaged tires, damaged rims, suspension problems. And for people's information, tires are extremely expensive. If you look at some of the new cars that are here, I come from this industry. So if you're driving a vehicle that has a very narrow width of rubber between the rim and the road, you are likely going to get a damaged rim if you hit a pothole in Barbados. And unfortunately, I can't call them ruts. They are now massive potholes with jagged edges. They're some 2 to 3 inches deep. And when you hit one of them with today's modern rims, they are all aluminum alloy rims, and you run a real probability of cracking the rim. And that rim, I can guarantee you, is nothing short of $1,500 a rim. I remember I had myself a Mazda 6 Sportswagen, and I hit a pothole in the Lower State area. It busted my tire, it damaged my rim, it damaged my suspension, and it knocked out my xenon headlight on the left-hand side. That headlight alone was over $2,000. Fortunately, that is from the dealership. Fortunately, I was able to access it by other means because of the contacts I've developed over the years. But not everybody has that capability. And so you have a person who will impact a pothole in Barbados, damage a tire. Tires are $500-600. You'll be lucky if you get anything less than that, unless you're buying a used tire. Rims are at least $1,000 to $1,500. Don't even go on the area of suspensions, shock absorber areas, and damage in that area. And then, of course, you have the impact that could affect your computerized systems, because many of the computerized systems in the new cars are not really designed to take a licking, such as what we have on our roads in Barbados at present. So it can be a very expensive exercise for someone driving on the roads in Barbados. And it becomes a problem for the ordinary man in the street. If that happens with somebody who is on the higher level of society, with a Range Rover, BMW, or Mercedes-Benz, there's no big deal to them. They can pick up the money and write a check and write it off, or through the company or whatever. But that is not the capability of the average Barbadian. So government needs, and they recently obtained more funding to deal with this, and we are still not seeing. I don't know what people do during the day. And I'm not going to be reflecting negatively on the workers, because to a large degree, the workers have to be assigned their task and dispensed and sent out to do their jobs. And so, I'm not going to ridicule them. It's not easy out there. We know it's moving into a very dry season, which I will touch on in a moment. But it is a situation where the roads are terrible. People are experiencing a lot of damage to their vehicles on an ongoing basis. Now, the other side of it, Marcia, is this. As a result of certain roads being so bad, people are avoiding those roads. What does that lead to? That leads to massive traffic jams on the better roads. And so this talk about flyovers and all of this nonsense, we shouldn't start talking about all those fancy things until we have addressed the fundamentals. That is like me getting a new cell phone, not being tech savvy, but I want to load on all the latest technology on a phone that I don't even know how to use. That is how stupid the suggestion is in terms of suggesting that we have flyovers. And then if we do have flyovers, what are we going to do about the areas where the flyovers conclude? Which, for example, if you put a flyover at Waterford roundabout and you take traffic coming from Huddleston turning from St. Thomas, take it over the highway onto the Waterford Bottom Main Road, then you have a junction at Combermere where people can't turn right. So you have a massive backlog there, and you're now going to deliver traffic 3 times as fast to that junction, another traffic jam. So would to God that the government would pay attention to first things first. Deal with the bad roads, fix them, so that people can get back to traveling on the roads that they want to and that they're used to, rather than trying to have a diversion which creates traffic jams in other areas. And that's just the roads that we're talking about. Let me move on.
But Dr. Ferdinand, before you move on to
certainly
the other point there, I know we're so behind, we might not be able to cover everything tonight, but I can't help but think about that during the elections, we were told that the government had bought these machines, pothole fixing machines. I think Dave, you have the article there. We can't skip over that at all. I think it's important that you remember is a new pothole patching machine, mark road repair overhaul, right? And this was actually January 14th when, election was coming up and all of that, right? And here it is, and it's going to patch. So I would love to know what has happened to that pothole patching machine. Is it being used? How many were bought? We really need to look into that, because was this just, for election gimmicks, to say that red is ready? But what happens to the machine now? Is it in use? Those are the things that I know that that Santia Bradshaw is no longer the minister in charge of road works, etc. I think it's now Kirk Humphrey. But I still want to know, how many did we buy? How much did we pay for it? Are we using it? Or was this just gimmick? You know?
Yeah, these are
Or,
all legitimate questions, Marcia. You have every right, as every Barbadian has, to ask the questions. Keeping in mind that our government is our servant, not our master. And subsequently, we have a right to ask questions of them. And I've spent, as you would know, Marcia, the last several years, 20 years, commuting between here and Grand Cayman. And I can tell you, Marcia, in Grand Cayman, they can fix a road before morning till evening. They have a machine that strips the surface, followed immediately by a machine that creates a foundational process, followed immediately by a machine that lays out the barber green, followed immediately by a machine that marks the roads. You are coming down the highway right now between the roundabout by Newton and the roundabout by Sagicor. That road has been repaired for the last several weeks. And it's not marked, not even marked, Marcia. You run a risk coming along that road because you don't know where you are, so to speak. It would be good for the government to answer your question. How many machines did we get? Have they been deployed? Have our people been trained in their use? Do we have the appropriate material to be able to utilize? How are they stripping the roads? How are we looking at the aspects of the foundations? Because many of these roads are many, many years old and we're not really fundamentally designed to cope with the volume of traffic that we have. How are we doing those aspects? And these are all legitimate questions, Marcia. And this is why I'm saying, before we can start to get into all the fancy stuff to do with flyovers and all this fancy talk, we need to fix the fundamentals. It's like we're talking about in terms of what you went through with the young people. And I listened to them, and many of those young girls talked about the fundamental things to fix. So those are totally legitimate questions and need to be answered.
And somebody here, Rookie 5642, is saying that horse sale has
Horse
been
Hill.
done. Wrong specs were used. How much money blown? Rookie, can you give me a call on that, please? Off air 236-7000. We want to know more about that.
Sorry, Marcia. You had a program as well on where you remember the young men that you were interviewing who were fixing the roads in St. Joseph and St. Andrew in terms of the blocks and so on. My father was involved in those kind of things, Marcia. He worked many years in that area.
Actually, what you were telling, remember when we did the show?
Yes.
I don't know if you remember. Yes, and you were actually saying that. I don't know if that's one of those young men. I hope that they will be able to give us a call. But Dr. Ferdinand, guess who? Apostle Linroy is here, actually.
Yeah, I just saw him sign in, and it's always a pleasure to welcome my good friend. I know normally, Apostle, we have Carolyn with us, but she's unable to make it tonight. So, and I almost didn't make it myself. So we have the lovely Marcia Weekes sitting in with us tonight, and that in itself is a privilege for us.
Yes, it is.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Rev. Pleasant good night to both of you. Madam Weekes, good to see you here on tonight. For the last couple of weeks, it's been Rev and Madam Carolyn and myself holding the fort. But it's really good to see you. And Rev, it's good to see you as well, too. I trust everything is moving according to God's plan for you and your family. So continue to keep you in our prayers, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You continue to stay strong. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Great to be on the show tonight. Happy to be here.
And I know that you're ready or raring to go. And I mean, we're a little behind in terms of what we want to deal with, but we have learned to roll with the punches, so to speak. Huh?
Yes, sir.
We have learned to be flexible on the show and to, give and take as we proceed through the night. So we want to make sure that we have, your contribution to make tonight, which is very important for us. It was a tremendous one last week, sir, I must say.
Yes, sir.
As you address that matter. But we're asking the question tonight, and I believe, Marcia, you did such a fantastic job at the beginning of the show as you were going through the things that we were going to be dealing with. But we were looking at the aspect of the role of the church in national crises and the moral leadership in times of pressure.
Right.
And, why is it that the church is so quiet? Is it that they have been bought out? Or is it that they're more committed to political alignment than they are to the alignment of righteousness, justice, and truth? These are all questions that everybody is asking, because when it comes to the matters of morality, right and wrong, I'm not talking about sexuality here, because sometimes people think that whenever you talk morality, you're talking about sex, and you're not. You're talking about what is right and what is wrong. We often don't hear the church. Yes, we've been praying, no question about that. But why do you think, Apostle, we are not hearing these voices, and should we be hearing them?
Yeah, well, Rev, I've certainly let myself, the reasons why we're experiencing this at this time. There are a number of elements that we have to look at as far as the church body in Barbados is concerned. And one of the main aspects, as you pointed out just now, about morality, the element of right and wrong, but also there is the element of what is divine law. What does divine law say, so that we position ourselves in relation to divine law? Okay. One of the other elements that we've had over the years in Barbados, and especially here in Barbados, and it's grown to a very, very high level in recent times, the fact that we have learned how to kill one another, and not even given the enemy the chance to do his job, but we've learned how to align ourselves with political parties and use our alignment with parties to create a divide between men and women of God. Now, let me go back to during COVID. I told them the BEA, the BSC cannot speak to the government for me. I am not a part of your organization. I haven't signed on. I'm not governed by your guidelines. So you cannot speak to the government and say you're speaking on behalf of the church. That is a breach of divine law. Okay. We had a lot of that during COVID. I remember specifically when I spoke to one particular minister, and he told me he had recently had a meeting with a very high-ranking member of the Barbados Labour Party, and he was told, because of his connection with me, he was told to be careful with me, because the statement he made was the other ministers told them that they don't have to worry about me because they do not support me in anything that I'm doing. Okay, so you have a church pretty much murdering the church, because as you know, we do not have anything happening on the lower levels, which is the earth realm, which is community, which is terra firma. You don't have anything happening on the lower levels until something has happened on the higher level. We understand that.
Yes.
So what we have here in Barbados, we have, Brother James reminds us, that people use their tongue to curse folk and then use the same tongue to bless God, and then we have this system where we cancel out other men of God and women of God to the political hierarchy, so that they are viewed as, unnecessary, unuseful, renegades, not to be connected with, so that they get to carry out their program. And this is where the church does not understand that the enemy is going to use whoever he has to use to silence the church. And that has happened during the last situation we had here with COVID, where The church was the very first to be closed. Nobody said anything. Nobody opened their mouth to rebuke this government, to rebuke this operation, to rebuke COVID-19. Everybody huddled in, their little corners, met with the government, agreed to this situation, and now we find out that this situation was a huge attack on humanity. It was all demonic. It was never real. All of the jobs and all of these things, all of this information has come out now. So how does the church look where it could be so easily duped by the government to follow step by step alignment, everything the government said, all of the protocols, everything. Nobody said anything. Nobody questioned anything. And that's one of the problems that we are having here as citizens in Barbados. Whenever you question something, everybody gets upset, everybody gets mad. But now we have a church where you have a certain cadre of ministers that work together. And once that circle of ministries and ministers are working together, they shut everybody else out. Okay. And this is where we have to come to divine law again. Okay. How is it that you say you love God, but you hate your brother? Okay. And a lot of these principles, the church has broken, and the demonic rulers that are working through this administration understands so much more than what the church understands, because in relation to the principle of this, we have the word of the Lord. The Bible tells us, Daniel tells us that, you have all of these kingdoms that will come. Then you have the Roman kingdom, which is pretty much that kingdom of clay and iron that's going to be hit by that stone and broken in pieces. And then we're going to have that stone, we're going to have that little horn that's going to rise up and become a great kingdom and a great. So right after the Roman Empire, the kingdom of God was the next kingdom to take over. So I asked myself, why hasn't the kingdom of God taken over like all of the other kingdoms who came on the scene? They took over the world, they took over rulership, they dominated. Why hasn't the church taken over? And I've come to a realization, Rev, that not everybody understands what the will of God is and what the kingdom of God is. We have many times our own beliefs where the church is concerned. So the fact that the church can align itself on much of the church. And, one minister called me about this money that was being rolled out, this $5 million. And he called me and said, Apostle, I'm really, really upset about this because I just got a call from this particular ministry inviting me to this event with this 5 million rollout. And he said he was, when he asked about how they got in contact with him, they told him he came recommended, highly recommended by another minister here in Barbados. So you see why there's a huge fraction between what is going on, because many times we do not understand another man's assignment. Sometimes we think that we're all on the same level because we may carry the same title, but another person may be more advanced in their assignment where the kingdom of God is concerned than another person. It doesn't mean that we are not all apostles. It doesn't mean that we're not all prophets or pastors or leaders or whoever, but another man may be more advanced in his assignment than another person. And sometimes with the whole issue of not understanding that, we seek to block, stagnate, or throw a stumbling block in the way of another man of God, because he's not like us. He's not functioning like us. He's doing different things, and he's operating on a different level. And this is where the government loves to have people that will bow and just do whatever they want them to do, be a yes man. And I told them that's not going to be me. I'm not going to be like that. Right, because if you're doing something that is wrong, okay, like for instance, like one of my problems that I have right now with this government is that every time one of their ministers are talking, it's this common thread about you can't blame the government for this and you can't blame the government for that. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Listen, this, when Miss Bradshaw was over education, she made a statement, and you want to go back, it's still online. She told the kids, if a teacher hits you, go to the police. Okay, so how are you going to be telling children to do that? And now you're asking why we have problems with the children, and I'm not to blame for that when the words came out of your mouth. Okay, when you're taking prayers and the rule of law and spirituality out of the schools, you want to replace it with mindfulness. You want to allow children to dress how they want to dress, do whatever. Now you want to pull all of this thing back. Now you realize you are not operating in wisdom. So where's the church? Okay, so what I want the church to do is to be on my side so that I get to do what I want to do. But there's no consultation of the church. Once I got Bishop so-and-so, Deacon so-and-so, Apostle so-and-so, Prophet, Pastor, Reverend so-and-so on my side, then I don't have to worry about the other ministers. Let me make it clear. You got to worry about Apostle Scantlebury, okay? Because this is my country.
Can I interrupt you? You're going to have to worry about Ferdinand Nichols too.
Yeah, well, Reverend,
let me tell you.
I got you covered. I know you're on board.
Listen, I don't even need them to call me by my title. Just worry about me because I'm going to be a problem.
Yeah, you're
going to be a problem.
Whatever, call me scat, whatever. But my job is as an apostle, okay? As an apostle and given an assignment and a mandate for my ministry here in Barbados, and I was positioned in St. Peter by prophetic declaration. Okay, I was by prophets that came to Barbados from Chicago, outlined what my assignment was going to be in the island of Barbados, and I was put into the north of the island by prophetic decree, which is why I minister right here in the parish of St. Peter. My ministry here, so my jurisdiction is St. Peter. Now, I've been in here, and now I understand more why I'm over here in St. Peter, and I understand it. I'm not going to say it, but I understand it. I have the most expensive property in St. Peter, Palizade, which is just on the road view, okay? Just before you get to Scantlebury River, where Commodus Corvids, okay? Then you go into Little Batalics. And then I have the only parish right now in Barbados that will have in the next 6 months, the only parish with 3 marinas. I have all 3 marinas. Okay, Port Ferdinand, Port St. Charles, and now I have the new Pingtree project that is coming there. Okay, so in St. Peter alone, I have the oldest church on the island, which is All Saints.
All Saints Parish Church, my old church.
Anglican church, built 1649. Check this off. I got Farley Hill, where I got the ruins of the palace. Okay, and so one of the things that men of God must understand about where you are in your parish, okay, and that's one of the things that I pray about, to keep violence out of St. Peter. Okay, and you would understand I don't have a lot of violence taking place in St. Peter because that's my jurisdiction. That's where I govern. Not that I'm not as an apostle around the country. I can move around the country, but specifically apostolically, prophetically, that's my stronghold. Okay,
right.
So because men of God don't understand, I'm not just an apostle because I have a title. My country, I have to dominate in my country. I have to, not only the 166 square miles, but also the 250 nautical miles around Barbados. Okay, like for instance, we have a gold ship showed up in St. Philip, right? For instance, right off, where's that? Sam Lawrence Castle. Nobody has done any investigation. Where's the ship coming from? Who sent it here? Why is it here? Okay, so once a government can get men of God to no longer govern their parish. Okay? And once they get them to align with them, then the demonic forces knows this person is getting power. This is one of the reasons why I would never pour oil. I would never pour oil on a politician unless I am instructed by God to do that. Because once I give power to someone who is working with the devil, then I transfer authority to them. Okay? And my job is to keep my authority and let them function in their role. And if I have to speak to them, then I can speak to them because I am not under them. My position as an apostle puts me over the president. It puts me over the prime minister. Okay, so there's no way that I'm going to be in a position where I'm going to be bowing to them if they're not leading this country in the direction that God wants it to go. And this is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, yeah. But let me just say, as Dr. Ferdinand, okay, he's back. Dr. Ferdinand, okay, good.
Yeah,
he's back. Yeah. That listening to you, we talked tonight, as Dr. Ferdinand said at the beginning, I was talking about responsibility. And us taking responsibility, and this is what it is. You've taken responsibility for your parish, your St. Peter, and I'm hoping that others would. And I told Dr. Ferdinand that I wanted to say a note of affirmation about you, because I see Miss McLean there about to come in. But let me just say this, that two of those children, Dr. Ferdinand, who were at the, two of the children who took the common entrance, and we gave them the bags. I don't know if you saw that part of the program Wednesday. Those two of them were students of Apostle Scanterbury, and he was teaching them, and I love that. And I wanted to say that to both you and your wife. I mean, it's so practical, isn't it, Dr. Ferdinand? And he's talking here about responsibility, and that's what we started the show talking about. And so I wanted the opportunity to say thank you for giving us access to those two beautiful young girls. I would like to interview them again, because we had so many technical issues on that night.
Yes, ma'am.
I still would love to be able to interview them.
Yes.
That's them there. That's them there. That's them there. Thank you so much for being so quick in getting them up. And then that's all the gifts from the loyal opposition to those children.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I think that's wonderful. And to know that you didn't have somebody else teaching them, you were actually teaching. And I think that is wonderful. Dr. Ferdinand.
Yeah, no, I think this is important, Marcia. Again, Apostle, I don't think the church understands what I refer to as marketplace ministry. I don't think they understand the whole aspect of kingdom dominance. I keep mentioning the fact that Jesus only spoke about the church, I think, twice in the four Gospels. And he spoke repeatedly, numerous times, about the kingdom. I have embraced the mandate of my country, and the Lord told me many years ago that I would be responsible for my nation, not just an assembly. And as you rightly say, we all have to know what our call is and acknowledge that call. I find there's tremendous disrespect in the church for the callings of different persons. You can't disrespect your body just because the mouth eats. The ear can't say, I don't agree with the mouth, because if it wasn't for the mouth, the ear wouldn't have a body alive to listen through. So we all have an important role to play. And unfortunately, as you rightly pointed out, there's so much divisiveness, which is unnecessary, especially when we recognize the fact that it's not our kingdom or even our church. We are simply caretakers, stewards, as we would call them, as we would call it. That is our responsibility. And at some point in time, the governor of everything is going to take charge, and we're all going to have to give an account. But Apostle, we have so much to engage tonight. We wanted to shift into this aspect of the visit by the IMF here in Barbados, and this is all a part. A lot of the times people don't realize how all of this ties in together. Our moral responsibility, because I listened to a discourse between the minister, I think he's Minister Nichols, and Corey Greenidge, and I found his speaking to Mr. Greenidge very disingenuous, very arrogant and proud. And these are things that when one understands the role that they're called to play in their country, there's no need for us to engage those aspects. So it's all a tie-in together, which is how I see it. And it's good to have Maxine joining us tonight. I haven't had the privilege of having these two ladies on at the same time with me for quite a while. And particularly I am not all the best at all these great adjectives. So before I go and put myself in trouble, the wonderful Maxine, let me just say the wonderful Maxine joining us tonight. Maxine, it's a joy to have you on the show. Of course, it's a particular joy to have you and Marcia together on the show, which I would have to say the Lord organized.
Well, let me see if you're hearing me. Good evening.
Hearing you loud and clear.
Good evening.
Good evening, Apostle. Good evening, Pastor. And Marcia, good evening. I actually have a sister called Marcia. It's reversed though. She's older than I am. In this sisterhood, I'm the older one of this two.
Yes. You're really a sister. You're really a sister. And you know why I said that? Because I came to you last minute, even about something yesterday, and you were right there for those children. I have to say, because a lot of people don't, again, these people that you see on here, Dr. Ferdinand, Apostle Canterbury, Maxine McLean, they are the real deal. I am telling you, they are the real deal. I could call on them. I could call on them for whatever, and they're going to try to make it happen on behalf of this country. You hear what I tell you? We're not on this program. We're not just talkers. We are doers, because we understand who we are. I thought I needed to just say that, but she's the real deal. But let me not take much of her time.
So are these gentlemen. I think, and they preach it from the pulpit, but they practice it as well. We are our neighbors' keepers. We have to be there for each other. And I listened to those young ladies just now.
Oh yes.
And
wonderful.
Amazing. And
absolutely.
Marcia, you got a little surprise. I if I could say this quickly, I have a former colleague from Trinidad, and when one of her daughters was younger, she wanted to be a mortician, and she told me that her husband took to bed for a week after.
But listen,
he was so mortified.
That's the right word to use.
Oh dear! I don't even have my water nearby.
He started, it just came to me.
Well, you know why I'm laughing, Maxine. My grandfather was a mortician.
Okay.
Lloyd, what is it? The funeral home there by Combermere. I can't remember the name of it. He took over from my grandfather, but I had I call it the unique privilege of mummifying a body in Pennsylvania, preparing for burial. So I guess I have a little bit of my grandfather's genes in me.
Well, let's hope the IMF doesn't mummify us. I like a terror comedian all of a sudden, Martin. I disappear for a while and come back. No, but it really is a pleasure to listen to those young people. And if I could say this quickly before we get into this, as you mentioned, trying to get the young men, the boys on the program, something crossed my mind. If you listen to the kinds of issues the girls were talking about, I'm only hazarding a guess, but I think, and I want to hear the boys, they may not be as comfortable speaking about the situation in their schools, because you may get a reaction to what they are saying from some of their classmates in a way that a girl might not get. If I don't want to say more because I don't want to put thought.
No, but you're correct. You're correct, Maxie.
You know?
My grandson had a situation very recently that both myself and his mother were going to take on at the school, and he was mortified, by the whole idea of us going in with the kickback.
Yes, yes.
So I guess you're right in that particular area, especially where the boys are concerned.
So you can talk to the boys, but you would probably elicit information in a different kind of way, and but to get the same sense of what's happening, and I really appreciate that. Yeah. So enough of my entree for the evening. My opening comments, I suppose. You want me to comment on this? The why is Barbados meeting the IMF? Let me say quickly that as a member of the IMF, the Article 4 consultation is I would describe, well, not I describe it. It is really a required or mandatory process for member states. You have these ongoing consultations. I suppose they will take on a different tenor or a different kind of, not necessarily role, but the relationship with the IMF at a point in time would probably also impact the nature of the discussions, even though the discussions would center around the same basic kind of things. You're looking at the monetary policy of the country, you're looking at the fiscal policy, its taxation policies, and those kind of things, how the economy is performing. For us, and for some countries where you have exchange rate issues, currency valuations, and so on. So they will consult with government, or they're supposed to consult with government. So you would find that they would meet with the Minister of Finance, officials in the ministry. They will probably meet with the officials at the central bank of the country. And typically, they should meet with opposition, other political interests, business interests, civil society. So if the team that comes into a country does a comprehensive job based on what is identified as the ideal, you would see those kind of consultations. I would have to look and see. This picture, of course, that I'm looking at reflects probably a meeting in, trying to see which room this is in. It looks probably like the cabinet, but I'm not sure the cabinet room. But they are meeting with members of from what I can see, that looks somebody that came through there in oh no, that's maybe it is somebody from NIS. I can see to Minister Strawn's right is, if I pick up her face, probably somebody from the Ministry of Finance, and on his left is
I see Marcia Cattle there as well. Is that right? Yeah.
And so that is not out of the ordinary. What might be out of the ordinary is the actual substance of what they talk about, because we would have been in relationships with the IMF in relation, the agreements that we had, etc. And so the question is, we have exited, as so we are told officially, the program that we had last year. But remember, and I believe I'm quoting her correctly, sorry. I think the Prime Minister's talked about having the IMF on speed dial. If I am wrong, somebody can correct me. So we do not know, based on what is the current situation of our economy, given all that is happening internationally with oil prices, etc., given what the government projects to happen in the economy. I don't know. We don't know. We would have to hear from them whether it is a routine meeting, as I said, because these meetings are annual, and they will publish a report, and you can go on a website and see what the Article 4 consultation report looks like for any of the member states. But we do not know based on what the government is facing, because let us understand that we don't get a lot of information, and I wouldn't pretend otherwise. And so we don't know if it's an ordinary annual consultation or if it is a consultation beyond what people may describe as the routine consultation, where they may be negotiating something, you know. So I would say that they are in Barbados in the first instance to carry out the regular Article 4 consultation, but we can only hazard a guess until we hear otherwise or we see the reports, whether and even not reports solely. If government makes any decision beyond the routine, we would have to wait and hear what might have been part of those negotiations and discussions. So that to my mind answers that basic question: why are they meeting with the IMF? So we will. Oh, that's an interesting subject there. Namibia paid off their IMF loans, and I think that when I saw that, I was very happy to see it, because IMF loans come with conditions, and those conditions can sometimes be very onerous. They can be problematic for the country, and we have seen that. We hear talk about the IMF being a different, entity than it used to be some decades ago, and some that we, I am not sure. But I think what has happened in Namibia, and I must say it is not only in Namibia, and I must take my hat off to the president. I think she was a freedom fighter. Let me say that. This is a woman who was imprisoned as they attempted to get over the apartheid and all the negativity that the Africans, especially in southern and southeastern Africa and so on, face. So she is not a fly-by-night person. She has been around. She's been fighting for her country, and she took some very firm stands when it came to the issue of the IMF and what needed to happen for countries like hers to really realize the true potential and to maximize the resources. Because one of the ironies about the continent of Africa, whether you're looking Southern Africa, East Africa, West Africa, and even North Africa, is that this is where the bulk of critical resources needed by the world, where they are. But up until now, the level of exploitation, the level of corruption as well. You have a generation of politicians who basically have allowed their countries to languish, and at the same time, these people live extremely extravagant, obscene, I would almost say, lifestyle.
Yes.
So, and yeah, go ahead.
No. You go right ahead, Maxine.
Yeah,
because as I look at the African countries, I mean, you talk about the level of corruption, but I think we're beginning to see a shift, a transition happening where they're beginning to disconnect from their colonial masters that ruled and dictated what happened in their countries, with no moral right to do so, except that they had a greater force of arms or something of that nature. I think I recently saw a couple of days ago another country with an uprising. I can't remember the name
Mali,
of it.
probably Mali.
That's right.
Yes,
that's Mali.
And that's not by accident, but you continue. I will comment.
No, I don't think so. My favorite is Burkina Faso. When I see what has happened there, and I often wonder if we are dealing we call ourselves the African diaspora. I believe that's how we refer to ourselves within the Caribbean, and I have always wondered, why are we therefore not having more negotiations with financiers out of Africa who may be able to more identify with the challenges that we face because of the roots that we have very similar in terms of our heritage. Why are we constantly going cap in hand, a begging to what I consider to be a new form of colonial control? Because as you rightly said, every loan with the IMF or the World Bank comes with, in some instances, very austere measures, very difficult measures, cutting of employment and all these different kinds of cutting public programs and all these different kinds of things. And I've always wondered, why have we not, after all these years, I'm like that, what that musician used to say, no lot of long talk, no lot of long talk, no lot of long talk. Yeah. I think this is what we're experiencing right now in Barbados, a whole lot of long talk. Well, and people simply want to see more action and more positivity toward their own development.
Let me comment on that, and I'm going to comment on Rocky and to suggest that. Well, let me comment on him, and then I'll come back to your question of business and so on with Africa and the diaspora. I recommend to Rocky 5642Z, I think I have it right, that you do some check-in and research and reading, and you there are a lot of videos and so on that can help you to understand the direction that a number of countries are going. I recommend you see what the countries that they say Sahel, SAHEL, that's Burkina Faso, Niger, and
yes.
Mali, for example, what they came together and what, in fact, the African Union initially sought to do to them.
Yes.
And these guys have persisted. I mean, what happened in Mali recently, the Minister of Defense was murdered, and they have been able to identify the perpetrators. But you know what? When they look, two so-called rebel groups that were not in any way connected or likely to be connected came together. And when they look at the whole exercise, they recognize that clearly countries in the Western world, and a lot of people point their fingers at France because of even comments that would have been made by the French president in the last couple of years in relation to this, because they have decided, listen, we have a young population. We have to use the resources of our respective countries across this continent. And therefore, I had the opportunity to visit Burkina Faso, probably, I think it was in 2013. I went to an ACP EU meeting. And for those who probably in our age group would remember Upper Volta, that's what it was called before by the colonial persons. Burkina Faso means land of upright men or upright people. And one of the things that I observed, here was this country categorized as one of the poorest countries on the continent, but wealthy in terms of gold.
Yeah, and oil.
One of the major exporters. So what they reckon, and other things. And the thing was that you have countries producing uranium, for example. The French were paying them cents, in terms of whatever unit they were selling it in, and then utilizing it in their power plants and so on, and selling it to the rest of the world multiple times. And so what you really saw was this notion that these resources don't belong to them black people out there. They are ours to exploit. And sadly, what you would have seen is that I had the chance to go also to Equatorial Guinea. For those who don't know, Equatorial Guinea is pretty much a smallish island, most off the west coast. It's part of Africa. It's one of the countries within the continent. Small country, oil resources, small population. A country like Ghana has 30 million. If they have 2 million or whatever, it's a small country. But you know what? The president has been there probably almost as long as some of us have been. Well, not me, I'm a little bit older than that. Over 4 decades or so, or more.
Yeah.
And very wealthy, him and his children and so on. But the country, the people, citizens are not getting it, So
the level of corruption is astronomical.
And so what I would say is that there's a general attitude across, and ironically, if we look at those countries in the Sahel, those 3 countries were taken over by there were coups in the country, but at the end of the day, what it was, they were supported by the people, because you've had coups and counter coups and all of that over the years. But these are people who said these so-called elected, democratically elected persons have not been serving the interests of the population. And that's what they're doing. That's why you're seeing efforts to disturb. We could go into Nigeria, and the Pastor Nichols, you may want to determine when to see, have people call in, because I guess we are at that point.
We can, and with Marcia, in the background there at the moment, we can take the calls. Well, in the foreground now, we can take the calls 2367000 and engage the discussion that we're having here tonight. This is I call it a very integrated discussion, because we've had the aspect of the moral, the spiritual, the practical in terms of, Maxine, the roads and the water issues and so on. And at the end of the day, what we're talking about really are the livelihoods of people. And I think this is something that we can't get away from, people, and listening to those young people as well. I don't know if you heard the comment that young girl made who said she wanted to be a nurse. And the reason she gave that she wanted to be a nurse, because sometimes they don't have anything to eat. I couldn't believe this, and you have leaders. I remember some years ago in Grenada, Maxine, we were holding a crusade there, and we met a gentleman who had not long ago built a factory to process nutmeg. And many people do not know, Grenada was earning, let's say for argument's sake, I don't remember the exact figure, but let's say about $20 million a year from the sale of nutmegs. And he set up a factory to process the nutmegs in Grenada, because he discovered that a small vial of the nutmeg oil was selling for in excess of $25 to $30. So when people purchased $20 million of nutmegs from them, they were making billions of dollars. And of course, Grenada could use that kind of money. You know what they did, Maxine? They burnt his factory to the ground. We were there when that happened.
I am not surprised.
And this is the problem, even Apostle, and I'd like, you can enter into the discussion anytime. We were talking about, Apostle, the challenges we have in the church in terms of how people see one another. But to me, it seems to be a problem we have societally, where, when one looks at the heritage that we have carried with colonial masters, there's always an attempt to divide and rule. Your mic, okay, great.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why I sit quietly when Madam McLean is speaking is because I'm taking notes from her, and I'm trying to get inside her head and try to get as much information from her. So I just sit and listen to her talk, and while she's talking, I'm taking my notes. So that's one of the reasons why I'm very, very quiet when she's speaking, because she's had the experience of knowing what wheeling and dealing with, in terms of the government, the IMF are concerned. But let me just say this, Rev, before we go any further. I think, again, when we're looking at the African diaspora, and I heard you mention again about the reaching out to Africa for resources. And I heard recently someone talk about reparations, which I don't get involved with that whole issue at all, and I have my reasons for it. I think Barbados has gone far enough as a nation to have to revert to begging. I think we've done well as a country. The problem that we have right now is that those who are managing our resources have seen a place where they can enrich themselves and not further the future of Barbados as a nation. Madam McLean talked about that element of African unification. And when you look online, you see the infrastructural development. You see them being very future focused, people focused, and then also youth oriented. And that is very, very critical. And we talked about Burkina Faso, and I love what Captain Traore said. He said, I'm not a politician. He said, I'm a soldier, and a soldier knows how to serve. And as Madam McLean said, we've finally come to the place where we recognize that in many African countries, if you attempt to serve the people, to bring them out of where they are, to show them something better, they try their best to silence you. Okay? And Barbados as a nation, we've seen golden years already, and there's no reason why we should not be further than where we are right now. And again, a lot of people are saying, well, you can't blame the government, but here's the point that I want to make. If you dig up a foundation that you were going to build a structure on, you never lay a better foundation, but you just start building, then you're just asking for trouble. Okay? And I'll go back quickly to say that I had an opportunity to speak with an expert who came into Barbados, spoke to experts, and spoke to this administration, even during COVID, and told them the information I received is that they were told the manner in which they are attempting and planning to deal with the pandemic. They were told by experts, this is not the way how a pandemic is supposed to be dealt with by experts, but they never follow. So we have an administration that does not even pay attention to what the experts are telling them. Okay, so how are we going to move forward as a country if you're unwilling to even pay attention to those who know how to get the job done? If you're not listening to the experts, how are you saying we don't know why this is happening? You got to look at yourselves. We had a minor situation as a ministry during COVID, and everybody was pointing at the leaders. We pointed at myself, my wife, they pointed at leadership. So why is it when we say, okay, we're putting the full responsibility of this matter on the government, why is it that people are coming and say, oh, you can't blame the government? Of course not. If something happens at your house, they're going to blame you. So if you are in charge, if a company goes south, they're going to blame the CEO.
You're the person that gets fired.
Exactly.
You're the person that gets fired.
So why is it that we're seeing these things? The persons that are there are not speaking. They're not saying anything against the situation with crime. But then we see all of these pictures that are coming out, and pictures are not communicating with the people. A picture is not communicating with the people. So again, why is the IMF here? What are they here to discuss with you? What is the situation about? What's going on with Barbados that our people need to know about? And I heard that from Madam McLean just now, that we have to wait until the information comes out, the report comes out, and then we're really going to know. So why is it that we don't have the information coming from the government that there's an upcoming meeting with the IMF? Why don't we know about what's going on? And I think that helps to shape the fear factor that we're seeing in Barbados right now, where this administration is concerned. So it's a very dangerous thing. And I think we're seeing the cracks in this administration.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, what we have is an administration that sees themselves as in charge, and they don't need advice from anybody, and they don't have to report to us, and they don't have to tell us anything. Just by way of information, folk, we're awaiting your calls, 2367000. Please go right ahead and make your calls for your questions or contributions. Marcia is waiting on the line to transfer you over to us, and you can interrupt us anytime with your contribution. Yes, Maxine, you wanted to say something as well further on what I had mentioned. You're muted.
I was scribbling, so I didn't want to have noise in the background when the apostle was speaking.
Yes.
I want to go back to a comment that was made by that was put up from Rocky, about the IMF and the Frixin Bank. He was asking why, well, not the IMF, why they had to borrow from China or whatever. I'm not sure if people understand the true size of the continent of Africa. Recognize that Africa is a continent of, right, this is it. I find it strange that consolidated African nations, that is the African Bank. Well, the African Bank is only one financial institution.
That's right.
And you have to look and see even how many countries it serves. I mean, it's doing a lot of work on the continent, but it is only one, and it's still borrowing. And I want to say they're not borrowing millions, they're borrowing billions.
Right.
Because, and I'll give you an example. First of all, understand, as I said, there are 54 countries. That's from North Africa, South, East, Central, West, etc. The population of Africa as of probably last year is almost 1.6 billion people. Okay? And if you look at that in relation to the population, that's about 20% of the world's population on that continent. So when we start to think, and the other thing is, if I could just put this in here as a sidebar, recently there have been efforts to get the cartographers to draw the map of the world showing the proper scale, because if you I'm not going to get into that discussion now, but to put it simply, when you look at a map of the world, what we see of Africa is not a true representation in terms of proportions, the scale to others. It is smaller than it should appear bigger when you look at it in relation to other continents and islands and whatever else. So I think part of it is that we probably cannot even conceptualize the massiveness of this country. So I would, and again, I'll give an example. We were talking about what's happening there recently, and I know he had some trouble even from the political elite in Nigeria. The richest man in Africa is a man called Aliko Dangote.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
this guy, and he has just built an oil refinery.
Yes.
Cost about $20+ billion. And you know what? That is now saving Nigeria a lot of money. It can process right now about 650,000. Remember, Barbados used to produce a couple of hundred barrels of oil a day when we were producing oil. So 650,000 barrels they can refine on a daily basis. And what that is set to do is going to transform a lot of the countries around, because imagine that for all the years that oil was available, Nigeria is a major producer of oil, that crude oil was shipped out and refined oil brought back in, and so what he did, I mean, it was a risk because he really had a hard time, but with all that's happening in the Gulf right now and so on, that is saving them, because if they didn't have that, they would have had some challenges getting refined oil. And now he's going to produce fertilizers. He's looking there. There's a joint venture that he's going to have on the side of, I'm not sure if it's Angola or Namibia, because a number of those countries have oil as well. So I think at the heart of this is a situation where, with a change of government policies and government officials, because people were saying that people were very fast to, and I believe that certainly this part of the world, we don't believe that we should have coups, right? But where you had a situation where men were in power for 50 years, you have I think the leader of Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, is a man in his 90s.
Yes, that's correct.
A man in his 90s. And he is there being propped up by the French, because Cote d'Ivoire was Ivory Coast, if you use the English title, was a French colony. And those guys were happy to keep a political elite rich while they got to do whatever they like with those country resources.
Correct.
The population of Africa now across the several countries is a young population. The average age is probably, when you look across, is under 25, under 20 in some countries. So the people are saying it is time that our resources are used for us.
Correct.
Yes.
You know, and so what we're saying now, let me contrast that with what's happening here, because as I listened to both of you, and as you were making the comment earlier, Pastor Nichols, about what is happening or not happening in Barbados, I look at our country and I am hurting for Barbados. I don't care what anybody says, and this is not any theatrics. This is me.
Two of us.
Around this country,
two of us.
I see
three
wasted young men. I was outside of Barbados recently, other parts of the Caribbean, and I saw the same thing. Young men, you look at their eyes, they are wasted. They look at their lips, burnt with excessive smoking of marijuana, whatever other substances, alcohol, all of those things mixed up. Unable or unwilling to hold on to a job, you know, and I'm asking myself, where are the exemplars? Because they like to talk about the church, eh? But let me ask, we know the role of the church, but let me ask, where are the exemplars in government? What are they doing? You know,
good question.
When you preside over a situation where young people will say to you, I can only vote for one if on a pay me. And people are prepared to do that. I always told people that I was never into a candidate. It was not my interest. And those who asked me to be involved would know that that was the case. And I made it clear. I offered to do what I could and ended up where I ended up. But I always said, if it meant winning a seat, I would have to lose. I would have to lose because, you see, I listen to ministers and members of parliament talking and writing. But I ask myself, what examples are being set, particularly to our young men?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I look around. I look around this country and I hear people. I was very much in my late 20s and 30s, very much part of the introduction of gender studies and all that at the University of West Indies, and very critical work that had to be done and continues to be done. But I look around this country and I'm asking myself, when we look at our situation, what are we doing to help our young men? I mean, you mentioned shootings and what, I mean, does anybody have, any of you two have any idea how many young men there are on remand for murder at Dodge right now? I've been trying to get that number.
I honestly don't know, Maxine. What I do know is that when I looked at some of the figures, I believe we had a fall in murder rate in 2020 or something like that. I was recently seeing some figures, but then of course it escalated astronomically last year in terms of the number of young men. And I recently mentioned to someone, all of the deaths for this year are men, none are women. They're all young men. And I really, it grieves me. You know, you talk about you hurt for your country. I do too. Especially on one occasion, I was driving out by the Lower State area, and I saw some young men, and also on the Spring Garden, I saw some young men, and I just pulled up. They were weeding on the side of the street with the weed whackers, you know, that kind of thing. And I pulled up just to have a brief conversation with them because I was on a schedule. And, you know, one of the young men had a qualification, Maxine, as a chef.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked, why are you on the side of the street cutting grass? And his response to me is, well, I had an opportunity to do nothing else. You know, And it grieves you because I remember, and again, I am not, my country is my heart. I think it was in 2008. Was that the election that when Arthur lost, I believe, right? That was the
Yes,
one he
that was
lost.
Yes.
2008. Yeah, that's
In
2008.
2008, I remember a meeting he had, I think it was at St. Michael's School with the young people. And one of the things he addressed was their need to look beyond the borders of Barbados for job opportunities. Of course, with the technologies, we all know you don't even have to leave the country anymore, because you can have these job opportunities where you're doing things for massive companies overseas. I know a young man right now in the United States who was a what you call it again, these people that design the protection for flow, the security aspect for flow.
cybersecurity.
Cyber security, correct. He was in Grand Cayman with me. And because of engaging a company overseas on the internet, Maxine, he is now one of the leading cybercrime demands in the United States. And he was doing that in Grand Cayman while he was in Cayman working with Flow. And he's now in the States, very, very well off and so on. And I'm just wondering, where I listen to all of the talk. We talk about examples. When I listen to how, and forgive me, when I listen to how my namesake, Gregory Nichols, carried on Corey Greenwich with regards to the questions relating to citizenship in Barbados. What a poor example to set for our young men. You can't have a discussion. You can't.
You're kidding me.
I was away for about 10 days or so. And I heard reference to, I didn't actually hear, I have to go back and read it and listen, but I will give Minister, he's a minister, right? Minister Nichols, yeah, he's Home Affairs, a little bit of advice. Cut out the arrogance. You
Well,
can
then
very quickly,
you'd have to cut out the whole government then, Maxine.
I would tell people you can quickly become ignorant in your arrogance, and arrogant in your ignorance does not help you. It is sad. You have just for the first time become a minister. But I must tell him, I've observed him and I've shook my head again to say, you know what? It is better to be humble and learn. You learn a lot.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
And furthermore, furthermore, if he just think about what the person is saying, and even if you disagree, you don't have to be disagreeable, but a lot of hot air. That's what I would say. And if you don't be careful, he's gonna lose. People lose respect for you when.
You see the thing that challenges me, Maxine, because Apostle, in the church, we take flack for not living what we preach.
Yes, sir.
We take flack for that, and you cannot be saying one thing out of your mouth, and I relate within the context of our area, Apostle, but this translates out into every area. You can't be saying one thing with your mouth, and how you conduct yourself is another. You don't only lose disrespect. You don't only lose respect.
Respect, yeah.
But you also lose influence.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of the young men are no longer interested in listening to what they have to say.
Right.
And you talk about engaging gangs and all this. I don't want to hear what you have to say, because look at how you all get on in the House of Assembly. Look at how you all get on what you call the program on radio again, brass tacks. Look at how you all talk to one another. And then you want to address how the young men get on in school and how they talk with one another in school. You're a hypocrite. That's what we would call them. Am I right, Apostle? Is that the correct expression? They're a hypocrite.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And Maxine, a hypocrite is an actor. That's what it is. An actor is really a hypocrite. An actor is a person who is carrying out a role that he doesn't really have. And we see that all the time in the movies we watch. They're a bunch of hypocrites in the movies. They're actors.
Actors.
Go ahead, Apostle.
Well, as I said, I like to just listen to when Madam Maxine is speaking. There's a text that tells us, what the prophet Micah says. He says, the Lord has shown me, I think it's the 8th verse of Micah chapter 6. Show me what is good and what the Lord requires of you.
Yes.
And that is to do justly, to love mercy.
And to walk
humbly. And to humble yourself with your God. This is something that this administration refuses to do. And we know in the Bible that pride comes before the fall. And when you psychoanalyze and then you look at the physiology, you deal with behavior. You're saying that it is alert behavior that is coming from within this administration. And when you're talking about them, people tend to get angry and they think to scoff at you, because it's almost like you're not supposed to say anything about this party. You're not supposed to say anything about the prime minister. You're not supposed to say anything about the president. You're not supposed to say anything. And so even in recent days, things have happened here in Barbados that should have been addressed either by the president, either by the president of the Senate, or even by the prime minister herself. But again, it goes to show you that there are 4 or 5 7 different Barbadoses that we're dealing with. So on a very serious level, let me also say this to why we are having the state of crime and violence in Barbados. And what you said was so pertinent about the young men not wanting to listen. If you go back and you look at what is happening, the shakeup that is going on within the whole drug and gang culture right now, you look at the shakeup that is going on. The guys who were 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, let's stop at 19, in 2019, who were involved in the gangs, who were the underlings in the gangs, the recruits in the gangs. They are now 26 years old, 27 years old, and they have now moved up in the gangs. So they have seen all of the corrupt people. They know all of who their leaders associated with, who they had on speed dial. They know the people in the country. Now, they also know that they were robbed. They also know that they were lied to. They also know that they were scammed by the very people they were working with and working through. So these are guys who have grown up now and they understand the system better, okay? And they're shifting what's going on. So this is what the police have to understand. It is not a matter of who's bringing in the guns. It's not a matter of who's pulling the trigger. It's not a matter of the gangs. It's not a matter of how much drugs are coming in. It's a hierarchy system where they understand that what has happened before, they're no longer tolerating it. Okay? And this is very, very serious. I spoke to a young man here in St. Peter. He told me, he said, Apostle Scantlebury, he says, nothing happens here in St. Peter unless someone has shown to be disloyal. That's what he said to me. And this is one of the reasons why the administration, the government, cannot speak to crime, because we had 4 young men who went to the media, told the media we entered into an agreement with the government. We held up our end of the bargain, of the agreement. The government did not hold up their end. What do you think is going to be the recourse to that? The police cannot handle that.
As I listened to you just now, I wrote down a note. In fact, before you said it, have some of these individuals, I mean, in terms of the leadership and so on, compromise themselves. And I think that is exactly, you just explained in terms of when people can feel so bold as to go to the media, put their faces up there, make a statement, And I don't recall, I might be wrong, but I don't recall any serious pushback to say nonsense. There was none of that.
None.
There was none.
And
There was no
silence
pushback.
means agreement or assent, you know?
None. So,
But that is why you cannot, and when I say that is why they cannot bring crime under control. You know, I know we're discussing. You see, the thing to me, Apostle and Maxine, and well, I know Marcy's in the background again. I see a tie-in of all of these things because they're all interlinked. You know, when we have austerity measures brought upon a country when it's not necessary, when you have agreements entered into that we know nothing about. You talked, Apostle, about these people coming in and nobody gave us any foreknowledge of their arrival, because you have a government that feels it does not have to give any explanation to the citizens because you elected us to office. Shut up, mind your business, and let us do our job. That is their fundamental attitude. Yet when they stood at President's house and took the oath of office, and Maxine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the oath of office is to serve, if I understand the oath correctly. Am I correct, ma'am?
That's what you're
They
there
take the
supposed
oath
to do.
to serve.
Yes.
And when I look, I don't know if you all have seen the let me get it quickly on my phone. I don't know if you all have seen this 2030 document that the government, and we talked about it, we touched on it tonight, Maxine, coming out of the 2030 agenda. And we myself, Carolyn, and Apostle engaged us a lot last week on the show. When you look at it and you see certain things like, leadership now has to make decisions. And I'm going like, what nonsense are you talking about? Oh, you mean, so we're the
people, all alone?
We're the people in this, and then I read all the paraphernalia about citizens working together, and I'm going like, you all can't be serious.
Rev, can I come in here just one moment before I come back to you, and Madam McLean can correct me on this. What I'm going to read is the oath of office, and I've always had a problem with the oath of office for the Prime Minister, because the oath of office for the Prime Minister of Barbados does not in any way connect her to the people or make her accountable to the people of Barbados. So I'm going to read it. Okay, I'm going to read it. It says, I, then you give your name, being appointed Prime Minister, do swear that I will, to the best of my judgment, at all times when so required, freely give my counsel and advice to the President or any other person for the time being lawfully performing the functions of that office for the good management of the public. That has no contract with the people of Barbados. And I have a problem with that, because then it explains to me why you can function the way that you function without because you have sworn to the best of your judgment. Okay, not President. Your ability, to the best of your judgment, to give your counsel and advice to the President. Okay, and here's the other part of this that is a problem to me. The other ministers have a clause in their statement and appointment to office, so help me God. This one does not enlist the help of the divine in any way in execution of the duties. I have a big problem with this, Rev.
I am trying to, but no, you've read them, and you listen to the words as they're being read, and you then start to interpret them, and you ask yourself, what exactly are you committing to, and to whom are you committing? So and so I'm trying to remember if, well, the Prime Minister is sworn in before anybody else.
Precisely.
That happens. The Prime Minister, then an Attorney General.
Attorney General.
Yeah, they are sworn in before anybody else. But it it really raises the question. And I want to go, and that's an important point. You're sending me to go back and read the oaths that are taken, because at the end of the day, to whom, as I said, to whom are you accountable?
Correct.
From the, not
That-
only in terms of your pleasure,
that is the question.
That is the question.
Your mind,
That is the question.
you
To
know?
whom are you accountable? You're absolutely correct, Maxine. And given, again, if my mind serves me correctly, 2022, we became a republic. 1966, we became independent. I remember in the history of the politics of Barbados, I'm not a student, but I read a bit, that before we were granted independence, because I think it had to be granted, if my mind serves me correctly, because England was the controlling power.
Yes, sir.
The then was he premier at the time?
The premier before independence.
Before premier. The then premier, Honorable Errol Walton Barrow, took a constitution to the UK. And I think Marcia did a movie on this. It took a constitution to the UK. I don't know if it was for approval or for what, but anyhow, before we became independent, a constitution was available. That's the point I'm trying to make. When we became independent, we went into independence with our constitution for Barbados.
Yes, sir.
In 2022, I see Maxine shaking her head already. I see Maxine shaking her head already. Because we are a republic, but what governs us? I heard a young man on the highway the other day when the threat were attempting to intimidate him, and he was spewing out some factors and some areas and whatnot. I have to go back and check them. I actually spoke with him a little distance from my home, and he was fundamentally saying that we don't have a police force because we are a republic operating on an independent constitution. So you can't have the police force, and because we don't, it's not being official in terms of the constitution. So I don't know how correct
That
he is.
they went in and changed. You see, rather than, and as you correctly said, rather than prepare this and go into a change of status to republic, they did that and did some patchwork, as I would call it, some tinkering with the constitution. For example, remember we had the Royal Barbados Police Force. Mm-hmm. It is now the Barbados Police Service.
Yes.
So they went in and made some change. But to me, I think the point you're making is that we want to be able to say to anybody, here is our constitution, republic, we are a republic. This is what we operate under. And this is a comprehensive redoing or whatever it is. And it was promised. How many years hence? We're going to 5 years now as a republic.
Pretty much.
Almost 5 years.
And we still have no legal document as a republic that guides our administration. And I'm specifically referring to the administration. Guides the administration in the execution of its responsibilities to the citizens of the country. And that is where I am concerned. I am concerned with this because you asked just now, we all asked, to whom are you accountable?
Yeah.
Who are you swearing to? And again, Apostle, you will remember last week you addressed, I thought, very effectively, the aspect of the covenant.
Yes, sir.
That was made. Very effectively addressed it. That fundamentally the Labour Party could not possibly initiate a covenant with the people because they're not the people who are holding the supreme power in the sense of the republic. The people are the whole people who are holding supreme power. So it would have to be the people who enter into a covenant with the government and not vice versa.
Yep.
If you understand covenant, if you understand the authentic intent of a biblical covenant, and that's where the whole matter of legal covenant comes from.
Correct.
Correct. And as a result of that, right now, when I look at the operations and functions of the administration from the Prime Minister back down, with all due respect, I don't want anybody to disrespect the office, because it is at some point in time, others will assume that role, and the respect should be given to that office. But we are referring to the aspect of the practices, and I don't even want to say policies, because I can't say policies because the people have not been engaged. And I am not giving any excuse for lack of engagement. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it, because you can go and have town hall meetings when you want to have a flyover. So when you want to have major changes that will affect my life, the life of my children and my grandchildren, then you should be engaging the people of this country.
Marcia,
yes, go ahead.
Yeah,
we have a call. Go ahead, Marcia.
Sorry to interrupt you guys.
That's right.
Conversation very interesting, but we have a caller who finds the conversation very interesting. You are not going to be able to interact with the caller because of the way it is coming through, but you will be able to respond to him after he hangs up. Okay.
Okay.
Caller, go right ahead, please.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, sir.
Yeah, good night. Hello?
Yes, go right ahead. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good night.
Yes, sir.
I need to interject here in this conversation because there's a lot of things I find missing in this conversation. First, we got to understand what Barbados is. What is known as Barbados? Barbados is a who is who and what is the what country, to start with. Some people can do as they like in Barbados and have no consequences. Depending from which part of Barbados you come from, you can do as you like and nobody says anything about it. It is a very, very, very hypocritical country. Depending on the school that you go to and who the people accept you at school, because the Barbados do not accept intelligent people. It is who you are, who is your parents, where you come from, and who like you. The seriousness of this here is, I hear you all talking about the Constitution. We've never had a Constitution. Since Barra Constitution, Barbados don't have one. Nobody don't want to say this. Mr. Barra had, before he even had independence, he had a Constitution. This government functioning, and you know what I'm saying? Without a Constitution, all the things that is done in the country legally and otherwise is not null and void. That's why you must have a Constitution. You can't go in and tinker with something that was there and say, well, this is a Constitution, or we are doing this, or we are doing that. You don't put the horse after the cart. You put the cart first, and then you put the horse first, and then you have a cart. If you put the cart first, you're not having it right. This is another one of the things that I got to say about these whole issues in Barbados. Another thing, they're talking about who's good and who's bad. Can we really and truly interject who's bad and who's good in Barbados? When we are seeing what we are seeing now, can you tell me who is really bad? The bad is being looked at as good, and the good is being looked at as bad. I remember, because I am a Rasta man, I remember in the early days of Rastafari, how Rastafari was treated in Barbados and thought to be criminals and all sorts of things. And you know what is strange? None of the things that the people are trying to hold on to now came from the same bad people called Rasta. And that was because Barbados is a country that do not like people who speak straight or who speak truthful. During those days, Rasta was called for all sorts of things, but there were no murders. But Rasta was the worst thing in the world. But there were no murders. Nowadays, we have the nice people, politicians and their family, who do all sorts of criminal things. But you know what I'm saying? They're not seen as bad. We don't hear anything about it. None of the cases are not even called before the court. But Rasta was dragged before the court for just looking and having nothing here. What do we have to say about these things? And then we talk about Barbadian standards. Most of the people we call the honorable this and the honorable that, you know, the great thing about it is that they're so dishonorable. And we every day say the honorable this and the honorable that. But what have happened recently have come to show the total Barbados. I remember from my school days, and I speak of this all the time. There were people who went to school and they never learned good, nor they never learned, but they always got to the top of the class. They got all the best jobs. But you know something? It was the things that they did and who there was, and the things that they did to make them who there was, that brought them to the top of the class and the top of the everything in Barbados. And we still don't say anything about this. But there's so many nice people in Barbados that we always throw down and throw away and say they're all this and all bad. I remember of a gentleman, he was the head of the teachers union. And because he became a Rasta, they put him in jail. And you know, everybody know this man. They destroyed him all life. But there are a lot of people here in Barbados that they didn't become Rasta. But you know something? When we look back at the things that these people do, I thought they should have seek Rastafari first and then be something else. Because up to now, the who is who of Barbados and the who people think are the best of Barbados are far worse than a lot of the Rastafari that live in this country. We have contributed so great, but never was given a chance to even see. Even up to now, the present administration, they'd lock up Rasta to do Rasta everything for the marijuana. But as soon as they decide to make anything positive of it, they give it to somebody else. They're bringing people from all over to give it to someone. And they're still saying that marijuana is this and marijuana is that. But that's not true. Marijuana was the basic of all the medicine before the Americans made it illegal. And nobody speaks of this. And this is a fact. How come we don't see facts? They talk about the people now who are walking about on smoking weed in your face, but most of them ain't Rasta. Them ain't Rasta. But this is how life is in Barbados. We talk about the inconsistencies. Look at Barbados. One time, a Barbadian was seen as a Barbadian in Barbados. Right now, you have to come from someplace else to get good life in Barbados. There is no good life for the people in Barbados who born here, who made this country, who work hard, that the people said wasn't educated, but yet was enabled to make the things that we have possible. But nobody sees them. We bring people from Ghana who are now said, oh, they're building my house.
Right.
And we find land and all sorts of things for them. But you know, the people, the old men and the old women that work hard in the donkey carts and in the cane fields, they can't even get a house.
Yeah.
How come the government and the country don't contribute to these people? How come they contribute to people that don't even know nothing about Barbados? When are we as a people going to start to see and understand? You know what? From school, they taught the children how to oppose one another. There was always a competition, not how to love one another, how to cooperate with one another. And this is the problem, you know, the education system. There's so many pedophiles in the education system. How can we get? They talk about children from the 11 plus. There's nothing wrong with 11 plus. If you want to apply yourself, you will apply yourself.
Yes. Well, thank you.
But the problem is, a lot of people don't want to apply themselves, but they have other methods that they can be pushed to the top.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for calling. So Dr. Ferdinand, just before, and I'm going to zip out again, waiting for another call, but I just want to say I love the passion of Ras. He's one of my favorite callers. But I just want, and I love just everything he's saying is just so on point. But for the integrity of the show, I want to say, because I think it's important that we do have a constitution in Barbados. You all don't like for us to tell you that, but we can't come on the show and tell you a lie, okay? This is proven fact. It is a fact. You don't want to believe that. I know a lot of you don't want me to say it. What you have is a revised constitution or an amended constitution.
Amended.
We do not have a Republican constitution.
We don't have a Republican constitution.
So please, guys, I think it's important. We can talk a lot of things over here, but we've got to stick with facts as well. All right. So I would just want to say that, and then we can move on. And over to you, Dr. President.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely correct. And again, the caller made some very salient points in terms of, you know, what has transpired and how things function in the country, the who you know, and all these things. He's absolutely correct. You know, you found years ago, well, not years ago, recently, even in terms of getting a job, it is all about who you know. and
Yes.
who and this is wrong. It's wrong. And I went to Harrison College, and I must tell you, I don't feel any better than anybody who went to foundation or anything of the sort, because at the end of the day, Maxine, what might benefit from upbringing by my mother and my father.
Yes, sir.
That is what I benefited from, how they brought me up to help me to understand what a human being is and how to respect other people regardless of their position in society. And I learned to walk 2 and 3 and 4 miles to catch a bus. I had to stand up to Bridgetown. So I understand what people have gone through and go through.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people born in certain environments, and I won't call any names, who talk about people in impoverished environment who have never entered into that environment to understand what people are going through. And I'm not saying you have to become a pauper to understand what a pauper is going through, but you can't understand an Indian unless you walk in his moccasins. So you have to be able to empathize. And what he's saying is correct. Barbados carries a very, I experienced it in work. When I worked with BS&T Motors and with BMW, I had people walk into the showroom to buy a BMW that some of us didn't want to deal with.
Right.
I remember a gentleman's coming into there on Bay Street when it was Detco Motors. An elderly gentleman, Maxie, came in and sat down at my desk and told me he wanted to buy 2 BMWs, a 7 Series and a 5 Series, $668,000 and 300 and something thousand for the 5. What he didn't tell me is how many minibuses he had, and that he was getting these 2 cars for his sons to run taxi, or well, not taxi, it would have been HL at the time. And so they were duty free. So the price dropped from 668,000 down to 82,000 for the 7, and 300 and something thousand for the 5, down to $68,000. And Maxine, I took him for a test drive. I thought I would have scared the hell out of him and convinced him not to buy it. I only reinforced his desire to do so. And right at my desk, I am not joking you, right at my desk, I got scared as ever. The man, those old briefcases that they used to carry Maxine, the brown ones?
Yeah, cash?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Cash, Maxine. I had to shut him down and tell him quick, go upstairs, and take him upstairs in a private room with the the accountant to do the business.
Yeah.
But I heard that story. He didn't look like much. He walked in khaki shirt, khaki pants, hard tip shoes.
That's how he made his money. So he came as he was dressed. That's how perception is.
Very much so. I think I learned that from back in the day, Mr. Walcott, that was Starcom. He told me something, I used to go there to do my broadcast. And he said, Apostle Scantlebury, I want you to know, he said in Barbados, it's 99% perception. And he said, people will treat you as they perceive you in Barbados. And I learned that from him. I said, well, that's some serious information right there,
But we have a minister of finance that made that statement in Parliament. Maxine, I don't know if you remember Richie Haynes making his statement, people are not interested in facts, only impressions. I don't know if you remember him making that statement. That is Barbados.
They
put a label on him based on some people's impression. He couldn't live it,
Yeah.
I mean, it was described. Remember, it was described as power hungry, and that never left him. I think it was Tom Adams or somebody who described him in that terms. And but
I campaigned against him in 1976. Okay, I canvassed against him in 1976, but when my father took him ill and went to the QEH several years ago, he was my father's doctor. That's how we lived.
And this is the Barbados that ideally we should be able to operate. As one politician said to me one time, because I saw him at a funeral, and he was from one side and the person was the other. And he said, I had to tell my colleagues, we are opponents, we are not enemies, but we have developed a system where our people are being pitted against one another.
Exactly.
In a very direct way when it comes to politics of current day politics. Let me put it that way. You know.
Well, look, folk, you know, look, we can go on all night, and before I get, because you know, Marcia is on the show tonight. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And it is 10 minutes after 10.
Yeah,
so, I don't want to lose my job. Okay.
Yes. I don't want to make you lose it either.
No, but really, you know, sometimes you get into these things, and I hope that we can carry on, you know, at some future point, engage in the aspects, Maxine, of the IMF, the aspects of our 2030 agenda that I've been talking about, that Barbadians don't understand the implications of it to Barbados, and the disconnections that the government has where it is concerned, the what the Indians would call, you speak with forked tongue. Mm-hmm. Where their expressions are concerned. Songs nice on one hand, but then in practice on the other, they're poles apart, absolutely poles apart. You know, so I just wish we had more time, but then again, maybe it's a good thing, because then it will make people come back to hear us again some more at another show. So I want to thank all of you. You, Maxine, thank you for filling in at the last minute. We did have a real emergency. I myself, you know, this evening, I had to call Maxine 20 minutes before the show, you know. My computer...
Call Marcia.
Call Marcia, sorry, yeah. Well, you remember what she said at the beginning, when you came on, though, but you're all being sisters, so forgive me. But no, my computer crashed 6 times. I had to restart it. It was freezing up. It wasn't working. I was praying all through this session tonight, you know, that it would just hold together. So I'll take care of it tomorrow, take it in and have it checked and everything tomorrow. So I'm very glad that you all both made it. Apostle, again, thank you for being here. Always look forward to sharing the platform with you. Maxine, I don't even have to say that to you. You know, I always look forward to having you on the show. I learned so much from you and your experience. It's just phenomenal. I think you should. Are you writing memoirs?
I have outlines of things to write. Yes, I want to write. And
you need to.
Because I've been blessed with some very excellent experiences, and I don't hide it. Next week, if I am spared, as I say, if it's God's will,
it is His will.
I will be at that special age. I've said it on here more than once, so you can work it out further now.
I don't know. I don't know what special age that is, considering my wife's assessment.
70. Okay.
Wow.
That can be true.
1956.
Maxine, that's the same year I was born.
Well, are you the same age as me?
No, I am not. I'm younger than you are.
Well, okay then.
What month were you born in?
Me, next week.
Exactly. Yeah. See, I'm younger than you. I was born in August.
All right then. So you respect his due.
Yes.
Okay then. I'm staying out of that conversation for sure.
No, I mean, maybe that's part of why I've been doing a lot of reflections, because
yes.
You know, I tell myself I've been around here for a long time. And I'm not liking what is happening, because I am now, my son and I always joke about this, because we are here. I'm sorry that we're running, Marcia, but I'm going to finish this and stop.
I'm glad to hear you.
Right. Elderly, and my son will laugh and say, "Mommy, but that person younger than you." I said, "Well, I guess I'm elderly." you know, but it makes me reflect on the vulnerability of, we were talking about young people. The other side of the spectrum is what's happening to our elderly.
Yeah.
And when you think of all the crime, we had that incident at the nursery, in the proximity nursery school and the day nursery. And then you hear of all this crime and you wonder about older people, you know, how it is affecting them. Yeah. And so, you know, it's a new season that's beginning, gentlemen. So
yes.
I feel blessed.
Well, you know, AI is there to help you, so maximize it and let it. And let
so
it
I thought you tell me that
process.
you saw that I fabricated that number.
No, my dear. But to be honest with you, I tend to think you have, because with all due respect, you certainly don't look 70. Let's leave it at that.
No doubt.
Apostle, you agree with me?
I concur.
Thank you. Okay, good. I
think the eyes have it.
All right,
there you go. Well, folks, thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Up to 800 and some of you that made this show possible tonight. We are deeply appreciative of your support, loyal opposition. Want to thank Marcia for just jumping in there herself. I mean, I know she's bone tired and weary, and I really want to thank her for taking it on. And it's such a wonderful sense to know that we're such a team that no matter what happens, somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to jump in and carry the role for each other. And I really appreciate that family aspect that we have. And of course, with you all, the loyal opposition, you're part of this great family that we have. So thank you too for being here tonight. God bless all of you. Maxine, have a wonderful weekend. Apostle,
yes,
great
sir.
weekend to you as well.
Thank you so much. And blessings on you. And happy Mother's Day, madam.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to Marcia.
Yes, sir. To you, madam.
All mothers, happy Mother's Day.
Yes, sir.
If you got the position for the Senate, I would even take a ministry. You bring the big man from Geneva. You ain't got to fly me from overseas. I don't want to be party leader. Dr. Humphrey and Satya, once is a fair criteria, let them fight for that. I don't like no confusion. I have a simple vision. 2 terms, get my pension, cock up my foot and relax. I could give you solutions for the crime. You don't have to pay gangsters a dime. I beg you, please, me, don't forget me. Auntie, I will never bring you shame. Don't trouble a boy, I stay in my lane. I beg you, please, me, don't forget me. If the party choir, I'll always sing. I could get on worse than Patrick King. I beg you, please, me, don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Me, don't forget me. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. Listen carefully, me, don't forget me. Give me something. La, 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 la.